Well, this, is it live? It
Yeah,
doesn't say. Really? Okay. Wow. Okay. So first time ever doing this. I screwed up. Hello, everyone. This is the YouTubers Core, and we are finally here to talk about Daredevil season 2. This is going to be a spoiler. There's going to be a ton of spoilers. This isn't spoiler free, so if you've not seen this season yet, do not watch this. If you're watching this live at 12, and you must have a day off or something, but or you're a night owl, but you can watch this pre-recorded either. But anyways, so season 2 of Daredevil is of course tied to the MCU, and it's with the Man Without Fear, it's second season, and yeah, oh man, this is awful. So anyways, I'm Kyle. That guy with the Daredevil hat is Jeremy. Say hi.
What's up? What's up, guys?
That guy with the Avengers hat is Bryan.
Hello.
And that guy right there is Ricky. Say hello.
Up, peoples.
And that guy over there looking creepy in his tank top, looking like is Chris. And I'll
Okay, I'm hot. It's hot. It's kind of hot.
he's about to audition. He's about to audition for.
Guys, yeah, see, we did it different this time, guys. Usually, I'm always opening up, and so I told Kyle, yeah, you're gonna do it this time.
And I screwed it up so bad. I screwed it up so bad.
No, you didn't screw it up. The fact is, guys, we're here. Okay, Kyle tags out. There you go. All right.
Okay, so we got
to talk about Daredevil as always, guys. The Man Without Fear, the Guardian of Hell's Kitchen. Again, probably one of the greatest Marvel characters ever created. Yeah, I put that. We were all geared up for season 2. We all watched season 1. We loved it. And with season 2, we got glimpses of what was coming. We all kind of figured out some way what was coming, but we never thought that a certain skull gun-towing vigilante was coming, and boy did he come. And we're going to go all into it, guys. We're going to talk about him, who, the performances-wise, the story, everything, as always. Yeah, this is going to be spoiler-heavy, so if you haven't seen the season, don't watch. Go somewhere else. So.
In other words, you better watch it, or you need to get the fuck out right now because we're about to go deep into spoiler territory.
Well, correction.
Shut your mouth.
Correction. Leave now. Go watch it. Then watch the re-recorded thing of this.
Yep.
I totally screwed that up.
So, with this season, once again, we're still gearing up for. We all know this takes place in the cinematic universe. Just a different side of it, where it's a little more edgier and a little bit more in your face. And with this season alone, Matt is still shifting his life between being the guardian of Hell's Kitchen as well as trying to be a lawyer, and this is played up a lot in this season. It's like he's trying to balance that, and as Matt, his life is always complicated with different obstacles in his path. So we see that a lot in this season. But I'll say this, right? This really felt very comic book-esque.
Yeah.
Felt very much.
Yeah.
Like very more. If you thought, I said it in my review. If you thought season 1 was a homage to Miller's run, yeah, it's there. But this one really feels like an homage to Miller, Bendis, Brubaker run in a nutshell. And it really took a toll on me because I remember I geared up for this. I slept Because I slept longer than I was supposed to. I was so ready for this. I went out, I got me some goodies, and I was like, I'm ready to go. And watch this.
I slept the majority of the day, and I woke up. I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm not going to sleep.
Some people laugh that I can Steve, another member of the gang core. He's like he laughs at like myself and Jay and people like that. We can stay up and binge watch this stuff, and I don't know. I just do it. You get hooked.
Well, I can tell you that this time for Daredevil season 2, I did that for the first time, marathoning through right as it premieres, and I was wiped the next day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again.
Oh, I am. I know I am.
It's something you have to adjust to, because like me and Chris were used to doing this, but like
I've been a night owl for the longest.
Trust me, I'm a night owl.
And the fact is, with this, it made me, because I did it with the first series, and then when Jessica Jones came out, I did it with her.
Jessica Jones also, yep.
And hell, I even did it with Fuller House. I was like,
hell yeah.
Really loud.
And then when this season came up, I was just ready for it. So overall, I thought the flow of the episodes was really good. I liked the story. I liked how they got right to, instead of doing what they did with the first season, where we didn't get to see the two antagonists and the protagonists meet until like later on. In this, we got to see Frank and Matt meet real quick, and what a cliffhanger. So I'll start with Kyle once again. Kyle, what was your take on this season?
This whole season, just initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts.
So I've only watched the season once. I have not gone back and watched it a second time. Sadly, I just didn't have any time at all. Been a busy week. But initial thoughts while watching it is I think this is definitely, like Chris said, very much more comic book, but in a different way. I feel how it's structured, because how they deal with a lot of these story arcs for this season feel like arcs in a comic book. This feels like I'm reading a comic book and it chunks through a run. Like, this feels like I could open this up. This could be Frank Miller's Daredevil run, just live action. Like, Punisher has like a 4-episode arc, Elektra has an arc, and then they kind of intermingle between each other. We all, I mean, with the exception of Ricky, because he says he's a noob, but we all know that comics have these arcs, and sometimes they intermingle the new stuff with the older pre-existing stories. And this felt like that. And I liked season 1 better. When I was watching it, I think I was about 6 episodes in, and I still didn't think this was as good as season 1. But I was willing to think, well, maybe the next 7 episodes will do it. And when I got to near the end, I think this season falls apart really bad. The Elektra stuff is probably the worst. It's really good in the beginning, I will say that. And I enjoy the middle part of it, but around episode 10, near the end of episode 10, where I thought they were done with her until maybe a 3rd season, it just doesn't work for me. We'll get into it later. And the Punisher stuff works until like until after he gets out of prison, and then it stops. And they convolute that so much, and they go too far. It almost feels like I was like, you did it, and then they got cocky and, well, they fucked up for me. But there are some good things near the end of this season. But I think that it's good overall. I think it does improve some aspects from season 1, but I think season 1 is far superior. And this is probably my least favorite out of the Netflix things so far, just for the ending, personally. The first 9 episodes are amazing. It's just those last couple I'm not really a big fan of. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. But before I guess I do say, Charlie Cox, he's not Charlie Cox. He's Matt Murdock. He's his name. A lot of people say Robert Downey Jr. is the definitive best casting, but the difference is, for those that don't read comics, Robert Downey Jr. in Marvel reinvented that character. He is not what he is in the comics, and that's fine. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing, but he's not Iron Man from the comics. He's not Tony Stark. This guy is Matt Murdock. They didn't reinvent him. He is Matt Murdock from the comics.
Yep.
He's not, that's all I gotta say. So, yeah, I'm good.
Kyle, pick somebody.
All right. Who do I want to pick? I'll pick Jeremy. Yeah, my buddy.
All right, so if you guys follow the YouTubers Core, you guys should know me and Kyle's history. We don't normally agree, but this is a historic occasion because we almost entirely agree on this season of Daredevil. So this is essentially how I feel about Daredevil. Like a lot of the stuff worked pretty well, but my major problem with this is that the separate arcs feel like they each could have been their own season. Like Punisher could have easily just been like the main antagonist for the whole thing, and that would have worked fine. Elektra, like her shit definitely should have been an entire season, because how I feel about Elektra, and this is coming from someone who's a huge Elektra fan. I loved the initial couple episodes, but my God, she got on my nerves. I had a huge problem with her motivation. I'll get into that more when we get deeper into the cast, but I don't know, man. Like her part kind of just didn't do it for me, and those last 3 episodes killed me. I couldn't. I almost fell asleep. Like as I said, I stayed up trying to binge. I don't normally fall asleep during these, but I started nodding off during those last 3 episodes, and it was a little weird. I was like, what's going on here? Like I feel like the problem that they had was they were a little too ambitious. Like me and Kyle were talking last night, and that's kind of the consensus we kind of came to. Was like they had a lot of great ideas. It's just they tried to shove everything into one season instead of actually spreading this out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my initial thoughts.
Go ahead, pick somebody else.
All right, Ricky, go ahead and you can go and tell us your thoughts next.
Let me try on one thing. My take is simply from a television standpoint. So I've never read any Daredevil. And just from writing and television, I have to disagree. I think that I personally like this season a bit more than season 2, because I get into it with a couple friends of mine about like what's the better comic book show, and I say for me, Flash and Daredevil season 1 are equal because those were my favorite last year. For me, season 2, this is the highest praise I can give a TV show. For me, season 2 of Daredevil, from a writing standpoint, has some of the best writing and television I've seen in a while since Breaking Bad. And I think Breaking Bad is one of the best written TV shows ever.
I agree.
I do agree.
Writing is, I definitely agree that it's very solid.
Even though it was foreshadowed in season 1, it still feels shooted to a certain extent, I wouldn't say forced, but it doesn't feel like it fits well with the story that was initially being told with Punisher. I do agree with that, to where if you took the hand storyline out and replaced it with the mob storyline, the season would be fine. It would be perfectly fine. It would continue.
Yeah, definitely.
But with that said, though, what saves it, though, and what overshines that flaw is the themes. The themes of what it is to take a human life. The themes of why Daredevil doesn't take human life and why Punisher does, and how those ideologies clash so much. And what I think they did really well is that, in essence, Elektra, at least more so initially, it kind of fades away as Elektra's role builds upon that. Not as blatantly as Punisher and Daredevil's, but she does build on because she is someone who also, willingly kills without, remorse. She'll just do what she has to do to survive and meet her end goal, especially with her teaching from Stick. So I think those themes and the way they were written and how they were handled through the seasons totally outshine the flaw of the Hand and how the disconnected storylines, because I was waiting for the two storylines to connect. I thought maybe we found out that Fist did have something to do with, Punisher's family in the end, that he had a connection to the blacksmith, or that it was something with the Hand, or something along those lines, because I remember Madame Mal, who had the drug connection. I thought that at one point those would connect. They never actually did. But I think it still worked because at the end of the day, it was Karen, the use of Karen helped the Punisher storyline continue so that Mac could focus on it. So you had the initial story arc, but then you have the separating of paths, which does happen in a lot of TV shows, where you will have an initial story arc. This was done in reverse, where separate storylines will intertwine and connect later on. This one started as one and split off into two, so it was reverse in a sense. And honestly, well, even though I would say I agree, there were some problems there towards the end. Still, for them to do that and when they're in a 13-episode series, I think is a real achievement. And I actually like Daredevil season 2 more than I like season 1. And the subtle use of this, I thought was amazing. Especially that scene in that room with Matt. Oh my God, that was the edge of your scene.
Oh,
that was like some Dark Knight Joker interrogation room. That's like what that scene felt like to me. So those are just my initial.
How they were able to be. Oh, sorry. Right, Bryan.
All right, so typically here we kind of have like Civil War thing with Kyle and Jay, but now it looks like a completely different kind of Civil War here because I'm actually more in the camp of Ricky. I really like this. Granted, I do see your flaws, and I do grant that they're there, but also, like Ricky said, there were some deep themes that you don't typically see in TV, especially superhero shows, and it was really good. And one other thing that really helped it for me to make it really good was the performances of the actors. Like you said that Charlie Cox is now Daredevil. Well, I think maybe the same could be said about John Baruchel as Punisher.
Oh, hell yeah. John Bernthal was, oh my God, he was amazing.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about that.
and I do kind of wish that they made Punisher one season and Hand one season, but I like it all together, and I thought it was really good. And I will say one plus for having both is we can have Punisher and we can have that great performance by John Bernthal, plus we can have Scott Glenn return as Stick in a bigger role.
Oh, yes, Scott Glenn. He was cool.
Yeah, and so I honestly, well, first, before I say this, like Kyle, I have not rewatched this. I have just watched it once. But in my head right now, as it stands, in my personal opinion, I do think that maybe it's slightly better than season 1, but not better than Jessica Jones.
Well, it's cool that we disagree. I mean, that's the whole point of these roundtables, to hear different opinions. And I guess this time it's Team Jay and Kyle versus Team Bryan and Ricky this time. Choose a side, people. I guess this is this panel's Civil War.
Well, we're not really Civil War because we're not really willing to like fight
about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. We all respect each other's opinions. And Kyle disappeared on me, so I think I'm solo right now. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a fun discussion, especially because we all don't agree. I think that's when things get a lot more interesting.
And I did admit that there are flaws, and I think one other thing that goes into it for me, in my opinion, is I've not read as much Punisher and Elektra, and I'm not really as big a fan as Kyle and JR, and also similar to Ricky. Hate to keep bringing you up, but yeah, similar to Ricky, I actually got into TV and was a big TV nerd before I became a comic nerd. So it's kind of like I see it from his standpoint too. So
Yeah.
that could factor into it is the whole fact that you guys, I know you, and you guys are mega fans of Daredevil and Elektra.
Hmm. All right. So before we jump into anything else, Chris, you want to do we want to check comments first, or what do you want to do?
Uh, check the comments.
All right. So let's list off who we got in here. We got Nate. What's up, Nate? How's it going?
Hey,
Hello.
We got Cedric,
Hello.
and we've got DNGN. What's up?
Hello.
And we got Jared Flowers.
Hey,
So,
Jared.
so
Yay.
glad you guys could all join us. I'm glad you're all ready to talk some Daredevil.
at this ungodly hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Depending on where everybody is. If you
yeah,
don't mind, guys, if you don't mind, I like to you give a shout out. You're here. You tell you where you're coming from, and you know, leave where you're at. Nathan, you don't have to. We know you're in San Fran, but everyone else, rep your state. Where you from? There you go. I like to hear that. Let's do it.
yeah. Zone check. Just go ahead and sound off in the comments.
Yeah. Wasn't there a question about Matt or something
Oh,
like that in the
so
comments as
yeah,
well?
DN had a question about Karen, which I guess we can jump into when we talk about Karen. But he asked,
We're definitely
did,
gonna jump into characters. Really, real solid. Besides that, like I said, but I gave my opinion on the thing. I don't know why, but yeah, we gave our initial thoughts on the story, the season. Yeah, we're gonna jump into characters right now, guys.
yeah.
Um,
And once we jump into each character, I'll bring up the questions that are centered around certain characters. So I'm looking at them right now. I'll keep them in mind.
okay, so let's look at so we're gonna let's start off with pretty much the boy, the man himself, the Mr. Charlie Cox. Pause on that one because I don't mean it that way. But yeah, Mr. Cox once again gives a stellar performance as Matt. In my opinion, that's just me. I'm just giving my opinion, guys. First, I think he really is. You can really tell he really enjoys playing this character. He really enjoys it, and he just plays it so well that you really feel for him as a character, as a character, and as a fan of Matt, as Daredevil as I've been for so long. I know like his life is not easy, and the way Mr. Cox captures that essence of the character, he does it just really well. I really had no real big flaws with him this season in terms of his performance. The only one thing that I had, and that's something that me and Kyle talked about last night, but then we'll save that for the
Oh
costume
yeah.
like that. But other than that, yeah, I thought he was great. So I'm gonna choose this time. I'm gonna choose Jay, Charlie Cox. How'd you
All right.
this time?
Okay, so just a little backstory on my history with Daredevil in case you guys missed the first panel. Like Daredevil for me, in terms of Marvel characters, is right behind this guy right here. He is my second favorite Marvel hero, and especially because of the fact that when I was first introduced to him was when my dad kind of gave me kind of similar to what as Chris always says. My dad kind of gave me like a stack of books, and the first two things he showed me were X-Men and Daredevil, and he told me he told me straight up, he's like, Jay, you see this? These two characters here, Professor X and Daredevil, they use their disability and they use it as and that's their superpower. Because for those of you guys who don't know, I'm in a wheelchair, so I've always have had an affinity with characters that have disabilities, and I've always had a deep respect for Matt Murdock, and I've always throughout the years, even no matter how much people try to mess with his life, he always stands up and he still keeps fighting. And that's something I always respect, and that's something Charlie Cox really brings to the table. Because you see throughout this season, he's put through hell.
Yeah.
And hell and back. And he still keeps fighting. And no matter what, he still holds up his values as a hero. And that's, like Ricky was saying in his initial thoughts, that's part of, like, a lot of the big themes is, like, what makes us into monsters is the decisions we make for ourselves. And Matt chooses to uphold his code no matter what life throws at him. And that's, big ups to Charlie Cox for all that. And, me and Kyle were joking about this last night, but he was rocking an awesome beard there. We'll talk about how a blind man shaves later on. But yeah, I thought that was, he does a great job, and his relationship with everybody is also what really propels the story forward. Like, a lot of this season, even though it's not, I got a lot of flack in my review for saying this, but it's not really a Daredevil season in the sense, it's more of a Punisher Electro season, and it's Matt reacting to these situations, but it's really cool to see Matt, like, everything through Matt's eyes, and that's what made this season really interesting. But yeah, that's how I feel about Charlie Cox.
You choose, Jay. Choose.
All right, so I'll go ahead and since we did Bryan last, the first time we go around, we'll go ahead and go with Bryan next.
Okay. So,
Nervous.
no, it's just I stepped out for a second and I just got back and he called me. But so Charlie Cox as Daredevil. If you guys don't know, my exposure to Daredevil, minus season 1, is mainly just the very few animated appearances, a little bit of Wade's run on him, and also that one time that he was weirdly on a team. I think it was Bendis' New Avengers.
Oh yeah, for a little bit, like the initial start, yeah.
Yeah, I read that, and I read a little bit of Wade's run, but that's really my exposure to the character of Daredevil. But I know he exists, and I've talked to these guys about him, and I know that he's a great character. So that was my going into season 1, and it really hasn't changed since season 2. But I really like his performance in this role. And also, like Chris said, you can really tell that he's into this, and he enjoys this. He's having fun with it. You see him in interviews, and he's talking about possibilities of where to bring the character, of who to bring in like season 3. And he's with us, guys. He wants Bullseye. But
we'll definitely save definitely save like the.
I know.
Oh yeah, we got a little bit in the comments for that for the zone check for where everybody's coming from. Apparently, DNGN is from Shaolin. He's in SI.
Oh wow.
Okay, we got somebody from Staten Island. So we got a New York boy here. All right, cool. All right.
I didn't know you were in Catsboro, DNGN.
That's cool.
Wow.
All right, keep going. Who else we got?
That's all we got. That's all we got so far. But DN actually has a comment real quick about Matt since we're talking about him. He says, "Do you guys think there was enough closure on Daredevil's character? He sort of ended the season without a real clear direction on how to fix his personal life."
Yeah, I really don't. I don't even know why he reveals himself to Karen as Daredevil. I have big issues. Like, I don't know. I knew where Matt was at the end of season 1, what he learned and all that. I knew where Jessica Jones was and what she learned, and where she would go and how her character arc was closed for that season and Matt's for season 1. Here, I don't really know that, honestly. Just from my personal point of view, I don't know what the hell. It wasn't really satisfying personally to me.
Yeah, like hold on, this is my bad, Bryan. Go ahead and finish yours, and then I'll go ahead and talk about mine.
All right, before I continue talking about how I felt about Charlie Cox, just real quick, my opinion about where they took Daredevil is, I know I can see how it's kind of bad, but also in my mind, I also see the TV angle and probably what they're doing with Matt is they're breaking him down in season 2 so that they can build him up in season 3. And I even told Jay that I have speculations for next season of where they're going to take him, but we can talk about that later. But Charlie Cox as Daredevil, his performance was just really good, and especially with people like Elektra and Punisher and even more Stick. We got to see him bounce off these great performances himself for the most part, and we got to see the great interactions between them. But we also got to see like elements of his character, like why he's not willing to quit and why he's not willing to kill and why he's doing this and his motivation for this and how he's not even looking to the second man who raised him, why he's going against him. And it was just cool to see Charlie Cox like bouncing off of more people than just like his typical crew. But overall, I really liked his performance. And like you guys said, he is Daredevil now.
All right.
Now I'm done.
Okay, so jumping really quick into Deanne's question, I'll answer it really quick, and then I'll pass it to Chris, and then Ricky can answer the question as well. I don't feel like he had I feel like he had closure on certain aspects. I feel like he had closure on his morals. I feel like that lesson was learned, and that was kind of where he ended that. And like he healed his relationship with Stick, and that was nice. But the fact that like I don't know, because I grew so attached to his crew, it kind of hurt me that like Foggy was like Nelson and Murdoch was gone and Karen's out there doing her own thing, and Matt's kind of a loner now, and I'm like, I mean, I get from a TV standpoint where they're coming from and like what they want to do. Like Bryan was saying, they want to knock him down to build him back up, and you know they always do that in the comics. But I mean, at the same time, I feel for him so much that I'm just like, this doesn't feel like a right kind of ending for him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just didn't, for me personally, it just didn't feel generic, and it I don't know, like honestly, I don't know, I really didn't like him just throwing away his life. Basically, he basically threw away his life in the near the end of the season. He just said, I think he even told Elektra, "I'm done with my Foggy and Karen. Stick was right. I'm just Daredevil." I'm paraphrasing, but he gives up on his life and. I don't really like that,
and I didn't like the reveal at the end. Also, I feel like that opened up way too much. But
I didn't have my theory on why he did that.
All right, so so that could just lead into you, Chris. What do you think about this question? Do you feel like Matt had real closure on his character by the end of the season?
I don't think he had closure. I think it opened more doors. I really was gonna leave this kind of I am Daredevil at the end, but since somebody asked it, all right. Look, my point is that the theory of that is basically the fact that he cares. He cares for Karen, and the fact is he wants her to kind of understand why, because the main thing also of the concept of this season was always Karen seeing Matt, he's got cuts here, Foggy's got to come up with an excuse, so he's in a fight club or he's drinking a lot, he fell down, and the lies are starting to kind of escalate, and to some point of the aspect, Matt is looking at it from the theory I look at it from Matt is just like he wants to finally exhale and be like, look, Karen, there's something I got to tell you. So that scene of him showcasing his mask to her is saying, look, I'm Daredevil, yes. This is who I am. Love me or hate me, but you say I'm not a hero. I've saved your life like twice already. Yeah, I am. I'm the hero of Hell's Kitchen. There you go. And I think that's a main. And I think that was the main of just of him kind of gaining Karen's trust again. Like,
Hmm.
there you go. I understand where you guys are coming from, but I also look at it from that point of view of like, that's his point of view of like, here's my trust.
Thank you.
I trust me.
Also, so
That's how I feel, Chris.
yeah.
Yeah, trust
And
me.
also, Dean also brings up an interesting point here, where he actually says that towards the end of the season, Matt was fully committed to Elektra. He was deeply in love with Elektra, and he was willing to fully pursue that relationship and then at the end, it kind of feels like when she dies, he kind of just crawls back to Karen, like, I guess you'll do since Elektra's dead. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with this, but I see that angle though. You know what I mean? I don't
The
necessarily.
way I looked at that was the way is like for anybody who's ever had a first love, you can understand that. I'm
Yeah,
speaking from experience
yeah.
here.
You'll always have that, like, you'll always
Yeah,
have
you
that
always have that
torch.
first love, and with that point, Lectra was his first kind of real love, even though it was a weird relationship. But he cared for her, and that was his means of telling her, look, I'll run away with you. Finally, we'll run away together. I didn't like it. I'm not saying I liked it because I'm just like,
No, yeah,
but Matt, what about Karen?
yeah, yeah,
I've looked at it from a point of view
yeah,
of like, Matt, what about Karen? Like you were
yeah,
setting this up, and the way they built up Karen and Matt, I liked. I was like, it was a
Yeah.
slow burn. It was
yeah,
like,
and it was. Yeah, that was really weird. Like, I get that. That's it's very relatable to see where, like, you have someone who she understands Matt on, like, a deeper level, and so I understand why he would come back to her. But at the same time, like, you're kind of just tossing Karen away for Elektra, and then coming back.
Yeah, I
Um,
kind of felt that a little bit personally,
just
just a little
really,
bit, but
All right.
really quick.
I
Um,
want to chime in on this one. So first
all
off,
right.
as far as the closure goes for Matt, I think it was solid because it it goes back to the main closer begins with the grave scene with Stick, and it's that one question Stick asks him: "Was it worth it?" And he says yes. And I think that's the setup to where he realizes he doesn't want to be alone. See, as far as like him kicking Karen to the curb for Elektra, it does seem fucked up. It really does. Like, it seems like Karen got the shit in the stick in a sense. But here's the thing: it's not so much I think that Elektra was his first love. It's the fact that Elektra could understand him in a way that Karen never could. Right? There's
Yeah.
a part because they're from the same world in a sense. That's the world that Stick put them in. The training, understanding what the world is really like. That's something that Karen can never understand that on a level that Elektra can. And that's why that relationship got rekindled, especially when he realized that he can't balance his personal life and his Daredevil life, and how it, oddly enough, it was Elektra that kind of disrupted that balance because he was doing a very good job up till Elektra's introduction. But at the same time, it's this. I don't think it's as black and white as him just kicking Karen to the curb. It really isn't. It's deeper than that. There's honest reasons as to why he made the choice he did initially before Elektra died. But he also realized how much he hurt Karen. And I think that, honestly, him going to Karen and revealing his secret, it's not so much about him wanting to get back together with her. It's more about having her understand and why he made the choices he did through this all, why he wasn't around, why what he's really doing. And for Karen not to have this negative look on him of just being a drone. Because let's face it, Foggy gave him put him in a really fucking situation with that cover story. Like,
yep.
granted, you can't be too mad at Foggy for that, but that was really like putting him in a fucking situation to make him look like some blind drunk or just some random trying to, I mean, that was a hard life to put Matt in. So I understand why Matt. I don't think it's so much him wanting to get back with Karen. I'm sure he's open to it, but it was just so Karen could understand him. And,
Yeah.
And that trust level too. But as far as him having a closure, I think it is because I think it does go back, even though it is somewhat cliche, it is going back to breaking a character down to build them back up. That's what I definitely think it is. But I mean, a lot of good things came from Matt's breakdown because we saw, and I think the biggest one besides Karen is Foggy, because in season 1, Foggy really didn't matter to me. I didn't dislike him or like him. He was just kind of there. And so he's a much more prominent character, I think, in season 2. With how he actually finds the self-confidence and whatnot to be the lawyer everyone knows he can be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Matt's character was handled very well in the sense of what it did to him as a character, but how it affected the other characters as well. Okay, that's kind of how I look at that whole scenario right there.
Yeah, I mean you make a lot. You guys made a lot of valid points. I think I definitely agree with a lot of it.
I just want to say something quickly.
Go ahead, Bryan.
About the Karen Electra situation thing. Is in my mind, I don't know if it's because I grew up on Society and had that really ingrained and like my favorite era and all, but I saw almost like parallels of Gwen and MJ where you care about two people at the same time.
How I see it, if you want to talk Spider-Man, I saw it as MJ versus Black Cat.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like that too. But I just mean where you care about more than one person at the same time. But also at that point, we have to remember when he said that he'd run away with her, it wasn't that he was giving up on his personal life. I felt like he felt that his personal life was giving up on him. Foggy left, Karen left. He had nothing left in that life. And so he felt like he could go away with her. And it's like telling Karen was just so that he could fix it, because he thought that would at least fix one relationship in his life, sort of, because you see him at the end and he's walking home to Nelson and Murdoch, the lights are off, everything's gone, the avocados are gone.
I was expecting the sad Hulk walk away music.
Yeah, but so him to tell Karen, I can see it. I don't know if I completely think that he should have, but I can see why in his mind, because he was down at his lowest. He lost Foggy, he lost Karen, he lost Elektra. And also that interaction with Fisk had to also be a big hit on him and his personality and everything. And so he was in a bad place, and so in his bad place mind, he felt like the only thing to mend one of his relationships is to let her in, because at that point, kind of like what you guys are saying, the lies became worse than what the truth was.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I'm good on, Bryan, is you saying his personal life kind of gave up on him, because I agree with you in the middle. I definitely do, but he could have tried, because there's a scene when Foggy's packing up.
Yeah,
and he said,
he could have said something.
And Foggy even says, "Are you going to argue?" And he said, "Are you going to try to fight for it?" He's like, "Obviously no." And Foggy says, "I wish you would have." And he walks out the door. Like, I do agree, like Karen and them kind of.
And sorry to cut you off, Bryan, my bad. But that also brings up something DN also said. He's like, I got to disagree with you for a second, because honestly, I feel like Matt didn't Matt didn't lose Foggy and Karen. He kind of just let them slip away. They gave him chances, but he kind of just ran away from his problems, and he used Elektra as an escape for some of it.
Yeah, he could have said no.
I wasn't saying that his personal life gave up on him. I was saying that I could see that he was feeling like his personal life was giving up on him.
I see.
I don't think he ran away from his problems. Honestly, his personal life problems didn't happen until Electra came into the picture, but I think he gave up before they did.
I think the thing is that with both Karen and Foggy, like I've said before, every character pretty much stepped up in this season. Mm-hmm. Karen stepped up a big much. Foggy for sure. Because that was the one thing that I was hearing from everybody who talked.
Karen
is that Karen and Foggy, I hated their characters, especially
Really?
in this Foggy
Yeah.
steps.
Season
So
one.
it's kind of, it's not even really kind of.
Alana's with us, guys. So just really wanted to quickly mention that Alana's with us. What's up, Alana?
Hey, Lana,
Hey, sis.
what's she saying?
She asked us a question about Elektra, but we'll get to that when we talk about Elektra.
Okay. So like I said, with those two characters, we can kind of skip them in a sense because their characters really evolve so well that it's kind of not even, not I'm saying that it's not necessary to talk about them, but it's just like we kind of have been talking about their characters as it is. So moving on to I guess one of the newest cast members, and that's let's start off with your girl Alana, because you're a big Elektra fan, as we all know. Miss Elodie Yun. Now, for
Okay, so I guess that I mean my bad, Chris. I guess we could, I guess that could lead into her question. She wants to know our opinion on Elektra being the Black Sky because she thinks that was kind of forced and stupid.
Okay, yeah, I'll get right into that. We talk about Miss Yun, and the fact is, maybe a lot of people don't know who she is, or if you haven't seen the G.I. Joe movie, she was Jinx in that. That's who she was. So in a sense, she's already been prepared to play a Konoichi, in a sense, because that's kind of what Elektra is in this. That's what she is. She's a Konoichi, even though she's an assassin. Probably as in her nickname is Marvel's Greatest Assassin, and she lives up to that name pretty well. She is a Konoichi. I thought the way they built her up in terms of first her look, very practical. I liked it. It very much was a very Konoichi style. I like that. Her character as a whole, and Alana, please don't choke me out for this saying this. I like her too, but
you can choke me
as
out.
a whole, there was some flaws to her character. Like when she kept interfering in Matt's life to get what she wants, I was like, God damn, Elektra, leave me alone. So when Matt finally was like, stay out of my life and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, choke her. Like, I don't mean to do that, but it's just like...
Yeah, she when he was like, you're infuriating, I'm like, yes, you are.
Like, come on, like, she was constantly getting involved, like, I'll pay you this much to be my client, and then Matt's got to lie and not even telling Foggy and Karen about this other client, and then, here she comes ruining a case for them, and it was just like, oh, you son of a... I was like, what did you do that for?
That whole thing with Frank, yeah. And
I'll get into that in a minute, but once my turn.
So, I didn't hate her character in a whole, but there are holes in her character that I didn't. I didn't care that, some people might say, oh, well, she wasn't Greek. What does a Greek look like?
Exactly.
What does a Greek look like?
Right?
What does a Greek look like? Oh, she wasn't Greek. She spoke with a French accent because she's French, fools. It's like, but it didn't.
I'm like Charlie Cox is British. You see anybody complaining about Charlie Cox?
I mean, it's like I hate when people start using nationality as a right. The character's not right, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. Her character nothing was wrong with it. Just that the pacing of the building of her character, there were holes that I saw as Elektra. Knowing Elektra's story back and forward, there are some holes in there. I'm just like, there's some parts I don't like, and there's some parts I do like. But when she kept interfering in Matt's life, I was just like, woman, would you leave him alone? Like, he doesn't want anything to do with it. I mean, but I will say this. The moment that scene where she was in his room, in his apartment,
and she cut the kid through,
that shit right there was just like, that's something Elektra would do. I was like, yeah, that's right on point. And the fact that he knew it was her just made it even better. It's like, Elektra, it's just like, so.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew. It's like, but other than that, I didn't hate her character. It was just that she did what she could for what she was given, but there are holes in her character. You know what I'm? And pause when I'm doing this, guys. So yeah, there was pause. There was some really good holes in that. But yeah, who wants to go next on Miss Young?
All right,
Um,
Kyle, you want to go?
I guess
Okay.
maybe me and Jeremy could just go together since we have, I think, the same opinion on this.
All right. Okay.
Um,
I guess I can start off. So Alana,
yeah,
dude, again, don't crucify us for this, but
I
look,
don't care. You can go ahead.
I loved how Miss Young took the role and she nailed that personality down. And I know you were like, Gardner who and all that stuff, and I agree. Gardner was a terrible Elektra, but you know what? I gotta bring this up because I feel like I have to. One of the flaws I saw her with her writing wise, like I said before, was her motivation. And the one thing, the single microscopic credit I will give to Jennifer Gardner is the fact that when they wrote Jennifer Gardner's character, they included the stuff with her father and the stuff with her father's death and how that motivated her to become an assassin and all that other stuff. When they made her into just a natural born killer, that took away a lot of
Yes.
of what
Yes.
really connected her as a
Yes.
character, and that's what
Absolutely.
made the Black Sky thing so stupid. Was like they should have just included her father and made that the reason why, and that would have actually made me understand and care more about Elektra. I mean, I already care about her because I'm a fan of her character. But if I was not familiar with Elektra beforehand, I wouldn't. I don't think I would have been into her as much because, like Chris was saying, she just got in the way all the time, and it got to the point where I was so frustrated. Go ahead, Kyle. You want to jump in? You want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about the actress first. She's great. I like her. I love her. She's wonderful. I have no problem with her. If she comes back, that's fine. From an acting standpoint, she's great. She is not a problem.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing I'm going to kind of tackle is, but I both do agree with, is Elektra interfering because that's a two-way street. Matt could have said no. It's a two-way street. Yes, she's like, okay, listen, Elektra, can you leave him alone? But it's also on Matt because he could just say no. No matter how many times she calls, she can't do anything to hurt him. I mean, seriously. So I was a bit like, I think that's a two-way street there. Personally, I think they're both to fault. I don't think it's just her. I'm not dissing on Chris's opinion, what he says, or anybody else's. I think that's a two-way street. There personally, he could have said no.
But I mean, to pull a quote from Tupac real quick, never underestimate the power of pussy.
Oh man. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. But the
I'm just saying.
but with Elektra, when I was first watching it, and we got I think it was episode 5 when we started to get into like flashbacks with her and him.
Yeah, six was the start of the flashbacks.
Okay, and when we get to that mansion, I honestly thought she maybe had daddy issues. I'm not even gonna lie. She seemed like maybe a spoiled brat, maybe that had daddy issues, and then like, because I like the whole stick thing where he trained her, and like that's how Matt and her met. Like she was trying to make Matt a killer. I think because Stick wanted him to be. I like that stuff. That stuff makes sense. It works for me. But when you make her just a black sky, honestly, that felt so tacked on in the end. Like it felt like they wanted to do that, just like, oh, big twist. And it doesn't work because it comes so out of nowhere, and they try to build it up the last 2 episodes. I think episode 11 and 12, and it almost feels like I'm like, what? Like this almost feels like this is its own season, because with this season 2, it feels like they were like, you know what, fuck it. Let's put out season 2 and 3. But like it feels like they shot both of them together. Like a second season was all Punisher, and third season was all Elektra in the Hand. But then they said, "Oh shit, we can't put out 2 seasons, so let's just mix them together." And I don't know.
And also, there's
weird.
a plot hole. There's a plot hole with the Black Sky thing because in season 1, that child that the Hand captured was supposed to be the Black
I was
Sky.
actually gonna mention that when it was my turn. Like, yeah, are there multiple black skies? Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, like
they did admit.
oh, time out. I thought you took care of that pretty, sir.
I thought that they did admit that there are multiple Black Skies.
Yeah, this was weird.
I don't remember them specifically saying it, but I could be wrong. I mean,
why were they just going after her then? I mean, unless she was the last one, I guess. But,
yeah.
With the little kid, but the way they built it up was like she is the chosen one. You saw
Yeah.
Nobu and all them.
They built it up like it was a
she was
prophecy. They built it up like it was a prophecy, like she was the one.
He's the one, and it just didn't. I mean, it came so bad is that in the flashbacks with when we got to see more of the chase, Big Stick killed a chase member. He killed what was it?
Star.
What's his name again?
Star.
Scar. Yeah, Scar. Yeah, he killed one of them, and then it's just like, okay. So in a sense, I agree, Alana. Yeah, I thought that was really stupid. It really takes away the concept of what we saw in the first season, like when we saw Stick and Matt together, and he's like, what was in that case? And when he said, yeah, it was a kid, and Matt flipped out and tried to beat him up, but I remember Matt he beat him up because he killed the kid. And he was like, okay, that's the Black Sky. Okay, that's dead. And then all of a sudden you get this, and they're bowing to her, and she's contemplating, okay, should I be going? No wonder you wanted to try to kill me and stuff like. It's like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, that didn't make sense. I thought that was really stupid. So yeah, Lana, I agree. Yeah.
All
right, so go ahead, Bryan.
Go ahead, Bryan.
All right. Firstly, before I talk about Elektra, to quickly answer your question, Lana, I do feel it was stupid, and my whole thing is the way that I thought about Black Sky was a weapon, but Stick and the cast kept killing their potential Black Skies, and that they had the 5 kids that were like potential Black Skies that we had this season.
Don't get me started on them kids.
I know they were bad.
Those children with those blood bags.
Yeah,
that was some Blade Trinity shit.
But I do feel like that was tacked on and that wasn't needed, and that when I first heard of Black Sky, I thought it was going to be like a separate villain that comes in. Yeah. And I don't really care for the fact that she was Black Sky.
Did anybody else find it funny? Sorry to cut you off, Bryan. Did anybody else find it funny that, like, whenever Nobu mentioned Black Sky, that he over-exaggerated his Japanese accent? He was like, Black Sky.
Did anyone else think before we realized Elektra was Black Sky in like the end of episode 12 that whole like little coffin that they were donating blood to was the Black Sky? I thought that was something.
I thought they were gonna summon the demon.
I thought they were bringing. I thought they were going with the demon. I was like, oh, here we go. I was like, here comes the demon.
Also, to Nobu. Who the hell thought it was good to bring back Nobu? He was a henchman. Like, and he
was just a random henchman, and then they make him the leader of the Hand. You could have brought in Gorgon.
I know.
You could have brought in Gorgon. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even the fact that, like...
The only problem with bringing in Gorgon is that he's a mutant, and mutants belong.
But they could have just... They could have just explained it as Black Sky. Sorry for interrupting you, but I just want to finish what I was saying, though.
I'm sorry.
Another negative that we've been talking about with Elektra is the whole interfering in Matt's life, and I didn't like that either. And almost in my mind, I felt it was kind of like when you have a young cat and they think as a present they bring you a dead rat. It felt kind of like that.
That's a funny analogy.
That's a funny analogy.
It felt kind of like that, and I know I keep dogging on her and everything, but I just wanted to get the negatives first because I love the way that she looked. I love the portrayal of her character, like her
Oh yeah,
acting.
she got the personality.
Yeah, she got the personality. The portrayal was good,
Yeah.
but there are flaws to it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And I
That's,
know
that's that's actually exactly what Alana said. She said, "I feel Miss Young did a good job, but there are some flaws."
Yeah,
Yeah, like
but
this is kind of like Loki, basically, for me personally. Tom
Yeah.
Hiddleston, great as Loki, not a great villain personally for me. Like I love him in the first Thor movie, not a great villain overall. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian. I'm sorry, but that's how I
it's
feel
okay.
personally.
It's okay.
But
But
you guys, Brian. Sorry.
it's okay. I was just saying that, yeah, I loved her portrayal of the character. It's just where they were taking her and how they wrote her. I didn't
Yeah.
really care for it, but she was really good. And when her and Matt were together and they were a good scene, it was really good. I know we
Man.
talked about the negative of Matt kind of dropping his personal life, but that scene, like just on acting wise,
Yeah,
that
and
was awesome. And also her first interactions with Matt, like timeline wise,
Yeah.
where they were
and,
courting, and
and
it was
those
I thought it
fucking
was
fight
funny.
scenes, those fucking
oh
fight
yeah,
scenes were beautiful. It
The,
was
the
like
fight,
a
chore- the fight
it
core.
was
I
it
praise the
was
fight choreography.
it was like a dance, especially with those two when they were fighting together. They seemed like they were dance partners. Like they were so in step with each other. They were able to counter each other's moves, and they were able to perfectly
yeah,
guard each other.
Yeah.
It really that those fights showcased more of a better angle of their relationship than the actual their actual kind of personal dynamic to me.
Yeah, and one thing I guess I'll kind of ask before everyone else on the panel and even in the comment section, whether live or pre-recorded, once it's all uploaded. But before I do that, I do have to say this one thing. While I do have my negatives, and I think we all do, Elektra can still be salvaged. It's not like she's ruined for me. They
Yeah.
can season 3 or 4 can come along, and the writers could change, and she could be amazing. Like I'm not trying to be mean because there are people behind these episodes. They're real people. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
be mean. I
and
just don't
they
agree
work
with how
hard.
they. Like the thing is, for me personally, they did Elektra. I just didn't agree how they did Elektra in the end. But the one thing I guess I'll ask everyone, me and Jay and Chris, I think we all agreed on this. But did anyone else feel a bit? And I'm going to say this not as a comic book fan, but just how it was in the story. Feel a bit salty at them killing off Elektra, and it almost felt like fan service. Like we get like hyped up because like she died in the most pathetic way ever. Like she got killed with a scythe. Yes, that's in the comics, but it was so pathetic. Like I was like, really?
Nobu is such a fucking pushover. No, what the? Oh my! I
Although
was so angry.
I won't lie, when him and Matt and Elektra are fighting on that rooftop, and when he punches Matt, I laugh my ass off so hard when you get a widescreen shot and Matt's cowl flies off his head. And like he just gets punched. Ugh! His cowl just flying Matthew.
Chris, Alana wants to know what you're eating.
Huh?
Alana wants to know what you're eating.
Chocolate chip brownie from Sara Lee.
cool.
But I posed that question to everyone. What were you salty? Did you think it was just fan service?
I mean,
Did it work?
you guys saw me rage out for a second, so you can skip me. Go ahead.
I mean, the way she died. Let me put it up. Died.
Yeah.
Because she has done an interview where she says she wants Elektra to come back in Defenders. She actually wants to see Elektra come back in the Defenders. And we've kind of had this theory, if they bring her back, we hope to God they don't do this story which they did before. Is when Elektra supposedly died, she came back as 2 different versions of herself, her light and her dark. and I'm like,
Hey.
oh, please don't use
You
that.
better not do that false
Hey,
embrace.
I hate to interrupt, but Ricky just said that he's gotta go.
Oh,
See
okay,
you,
Rick.
Ricky.
All right, later, Rick. We appreciate having you
Alright.
on, man. Thanks.
Nice to finally meet you. Bye.
Okay, so in terms of like I said, we just hope, and with Elektra, her death, I got it as somewhere, she's protecting Matt, but it's just like with Nobu, I was like, okay, excuse me, he got the best of Matt in the first season. I was not thinking, okay, Matt's gonna be able to not be able to take this guy next time, and it was almost like the same scenario again. Matt couldn't beat this guy one-on-one until
Matt.
I was like,
And then he threw him off the building.
yeah, and then by the time Matt finally gets the best of him, it's just almost to the point he just goes, it's like it's almost like it reminded me of the kid Kyle that with the mom didn't get in the Pokemon cards.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He flips out.
Also, one. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say.
He finds the will to beat Nobu, and then next he takes and I'm thinking, okay, he's just gonna hang Nobu. No, he let Nobu go fall off the building. I was like,
I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my God. No, that shit was so stupid. And Nobu is a freaking pushover, man. Matt should learn his lesson.
Yeah, like, he's a henchman. I like the actor. He was fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with him, but did anyone find it really, like, when the trailers were coming out and they did that whole big reveal where, Daredevil's like all bloody, he looks up, and he's like, you cannot stop the rising, and then he takes off his mask. I knew it was Nobu because of the blade, but did anyone else feel it was so lazy how they explained he came back because they were like, oh, he's been around for like, what, 3 generations? And I'm like, really? He didn't seem like that in the first season.
Yeah,
like he was taken out pretty easily, and he seemed like he was one of Madame Gao's hired thugs. Like,
the thing, the way I looked at that point of view is like, okay, see, now this is once again more fan service to playing off the hand. Like, a lot of them are older than they look. And I'm just like, yeah, but he looked like some straight-up guy that was born in the 1970s or something like that. And so it's like, come on, like, I'm like, really? Like, he's that old? Like, and the concept of him falling,
his eyes would open, he would go.
No, I hated his resurrection. Like, every time he came back and he did that weird kind of like it looked like, in bad movies when people wake up from a bad dream, like in like fucking Nightmare on Elm Street when people wake up from a Freddy Krueger dream. That is literally what it looked like to me. He was like,
well, it's just like, once again, totally agree with Kyle what he said. And none against the actor. I've seen that actor before. But it was just like, Nobu. I was like, okay, he got the best of Matt the first time, and still to that episode where he's put his kunai in Matt and just dragging Matt around. I was like, like I felt that.
Yeah, I mean,
but in this, I'm like, okay, Matt's gotten better now, so he's like, if Nobu come back,
he's not a rookie anymore.
Fuck him up. I'm like, wait a minute, he's still getting beat up by him. I'm like, what?
No, and especially because Stick gave him that lesson about using his hearing even further. Because remember when he was doing that, he's like, he learned how to track breathing instead of just heartbeats. Yeah. Why didn't you use that?
Oh, man,
you could have used that, and you could fucking beat him.
My sister made a funny. My sister made a funny joke. She was like, what happens if the hand farted? Like, did it just fart? Like, they can't hear because of, breath. But she's like, what if they farted? And that's how, they're, running. Oh, and they go fight like it's a deck out bra.
But I will say, it just kind of hit me. It just kind of hit me right now. It seems, I don't know if this is the true case or not. I usually know this stuff, and I don't know it this time, but it almost seems like they wanted Komodo or someone and then couldn't get them, so they rewrote Nobu to still be alive and for him to come back.
Yeah, it does. I mean, is that all we really have to say on Elektra and the Hand?
Yeah,
Because
we're gonna move on
Punisher,
to Mr. Mr.
yeah,
Burnoff now. You know, because I think that's another guy that we need to kind of praise and
I got some
talk
history.
about because as a Punisher fan, I'm a Punisher fan. But I have never really agreed with his logic of killing because, in my opinion, you kill, there's escalation.
Yep.
In a sense, you kill somebody, there's always going to be somebody, especially in criminal faction. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be able to take his place. Like the mob, all these different kind of gangs. They're like it's like throwing chum in the water at sharks. There's a
Yep.
bunch of them. So one is going to come up, you kill one, the other one's going to take his place, and that one could be worse than the other. I understand Frank's logic when he first was introduced in Spider-Man. Me and Kyle had this conversation before. I was telling a lot of the fans before, Punisher 101 is that he first appeared in Spider-Man. He was supposed to be just a one-and-done character that Jerry Conway created.
Amazing issue number 129.
Right. He was
Yeah.
just a character that was supposed to be kind of a villain. And the thing is, the creation of him came from Conway's experience of growing up in Lower Manhattan in the 1980s. He not grown up when he was living in the 1980s during that time in Manhattan. In the 1980s, New York was not a really good place to be around. Drugs was big, gangs was really big. Trust me, Dad and people like that have got many stories about growing up in New York
Yep.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just supposed to be that. But then you take this concept of here's a Marine who was just out with his family. They get caught in the crossfire of rival gangs, and they changed a little bit of his origin in this. You know, they can't make him a Vietnam vet. You know, they made him an Afghanistan vet. That's
But
no problem.
they did pay a little bit of homage to that with the old man.
Pay a little homage to it. You know,
Yeah.
they kept kind of the concept that he was out with his family, but they went in more detail that he also got shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
One
He
bad, two
survived
bad.
that.
Penny
He
and
got
dime.
shot in the head. And I'm like, man, you got to have some will to survive a gunshot. But the fact is that when he came on screen as that character,
Oof.
all I saw was Frank Castle.
Yep.
I did not see
I completely agree with that Villa.
as that character. I remember taking a picture of him when he's in a diner, and he's just there, and I just said he owned this character.
Yeah.
You know, I tried not to compare when these characters get recasted. I
Yep.
tried not to compare the character from the past.
Yeah.
I tried that with Elektra, but instantly I was just like, Miss Garner, you screwed this character up in a sense. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't really write Elektra in that movie. They just do what they just did with the X-Men movies. They just have the name, but they don't have the character.
they kind of were just it was just like, hey, my wife Ben was kind of like, hey, my wife needs work too, and so can we make her my love interest?
Well, they met on set and fell in love.
and with Mr. B, I looked at it from a point of just hearing what he said about why he got the role, and said he put himself in it because he's a family man. He has kids, so he was like, look, the way I portrayed it was like, what if I lost my kids like that?
Mm-hmm.
Instantly, right there, you can gain an understanding of Frank.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at all the other actors. There's only been 3 actors who have played Frank Castle live action wise.
I don't count one of them though.
Dolph Lundgren, which a lot of people say
naked self in the sewer.
hell no, and I make Kyle laugh all the time.
You look at that movie.
In the sewer, butt ass naked.
Butt ass naked, meditating.
And then of course there was Mr. Thomas
Frank.
Jane, which I enjoyed. I thought Mr. Jane did a good job, and I would have loved to seen him come back for that role. Just here, probably.
I wanted a cameo of him. In this season.
And then I'll even give Mr. Stevenson some credit too, even though I'm glad he didn't talk as much because he can't. His accent breaks too much. But with this, and then there's like this meme poster that says "Respect the past, embrace the future." And when he came on as the Punisher, and it was just like I'm looking at Frank just came out of the page and said, "Man, fuck these actors, I'll do it myself." Like because he really
You want something done right. You want something done right. You got to do it yourself.
He portrayed that character so well, and everything he did, even the way his mannerism, the way he talked, the way what he did, I was just like, yeah, that's great.
His eyes, man, like he had that dead eye look.
Yeah,
Especially,
like he had that. I mean, there was, I love the way hey, Red, he called, and the only thing that would just make me laugh was when he started barking like a dog at the.
The thing that I had to adjust to at first was Frank with a southern accent. I was like, all right, I guess this works.
But
really? I just flowed with it. Like
no, because
I'm not really a big Punisher fan, so it was just like whatever.
The only reason it kind of bothered me at first was because he says he's from New York, but he has the southern accent, and he's like, you're charged by the hour, Doc.
I mean,
the thing is, I thought he did a pretty good job of bringing a New York accent to it. It flowed, and but he just had that stare, and he just like almost always in gridlock mode.
That pawn shop scene. Oh my god.
That was a great scene. I love that.
Man, when his eyes, like you saw that look on his face, he's like, I would have let you live if you hadn't have said pedo porn.
Oh yeah.
He started doing all that. I was like, walk away, Frank. And then once I saw him stop, he locked the door. I was like,
when he flipped that close sign and the guy was like, "That's my man," I'm like, "You just signed your fucking death certificate."
Yeah, you did. Is it alright if I talk about the actor first, since I'm not a?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Go ahead, Kyle. I mean, you're coming at this from a perspective of a non-fan, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, as Alana and Chris say, shocking, which I don't know is a joke. I don't know if it's like shocking, like sarcasm or not, but I always found that funny. Is so infamously, and as I mentioned before, I'm not a big Punisher fan of the comics. I don't really care for him. I respect them. People that do, that's fine. I can understand why he kills. I can understand that. I just don't agree with him. But here, John Bernthal, I believe that's how you say his last name.
I think it's Bernthal. I want to say it's Bernthal.
Yeah, Bernthal. I think that's how you say it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, sir, if you do see this. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but he was, I think, kind of like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, where it's the actor that's making me love the character, but the writing for Punisher is amazing. He is probably the best new addition. He's probably going to go down for me in terms of these Netflix series so far as a new, like just coming in from a previous, like this is a series, this is a second season, as like Vision. Like Vision, when Vision came into Age of Ultron, I love Vision. He's only been in like on screen in the MCU for like 12 minutes, I think, and I love him already. He's far more fascinating than Thor. He's like, and Thor's had like 5 movies, but Mr. John, I'm just going to call him Bernthal, and I'm sorry, but
it's cool. Just do it. Say it however you want to say it, Kyle. I mean,
he's basically but or I could just call him Mr. Punisher. He did it. He was
Mr. Castle.
That guy. Yeah, Mr. Castle. He just owned that role, and playing off of Charlie Cox, who, as I jokingly said, and I did mean it, wait, who's Charlie Cox? He's just Matt Murdock. You got 2 of the best men to play these characters, and they just disappeared in them. And when they come together, it's epic, but while I do think the advertisement for this was very misleading, as they did build this up like this was going to be a big slugfest to the end of the series, it's only, honestly, guys, it's only 2 episodes. They only have a bra for 2 episodes, and It was good, but I liked the character stuff more. The brawl,
You want to know what was the most misleading? Sorry to cut you off, but you know what the most
Don't
misleading?
spoil.
You know what the most misleading advertisement for Punisher was in the marketing?
What?
It was the minigun, man. I was
Yeah.
expecting in that last scene when they had like 100 hand ninjas coming after Electro and Matt. I was expecting to see Frank.
We saw the minigun. He was looking right at it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, do it.
And then you just gonna see him go. And that like, I was gonna see something.
That would have been great.
I thought it was gonna see something out of Predator. Remember in first Predator that minigun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. He just like ah. Yeah,
I think
would fucking love that shit, man.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I think the moment that I realized he was going to be the definitive Punisher, I think we all have this with actors. Like, there's that one moment where you're like, yeah, they're the character. Like with Chris Evans in First Avenger, the scientist that changed him into, big, strong Captain America says, do you want to kill Nazis? And he says, I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies.
I just don't like bullies. Yep.
I don't care where they're from. And how that line was delivered, I was like, Chris Evans is Captain America, and he will always be Captain America, and no one can take that from him. Mm-hmm. And the scene that made me, and I was in love with him when he was on the screen for those first 3 episodes, but the scene that made me go, yep, this is going to be the definitive Punisher, is the graveyard scene when he is talking with Daredevil, and they're just sitting there. He gives one of the best performances I've seen from him in this show. Like he's fantastic throughout, but that's the defining one where I immediately go, that's Frank Castle. No one can take that from him at all. He gave such a wonderful performance. I was like, man, I kind of almost wanted to cry. I had to pause the episode and say, I need a moment. Like, I really need a moment. You
needed a Twix. You needed a Twix, Kyle. You needed a Twix.
I bet you Charlie Cox. I'm just kidding with this, but I bet you Charlie Cox was like, man, I'm really glad I'm wearing this cowl because I'm tearing up like a baby.
No one can see me cry.
Covered.
No one can see me cry right now. I'm so glad.
I'm just gonna pretend I'm listening, but I'm gonna have tears.
I'm gonna nod. I'm gonna just nod, and I'm just.
But I love that Daredevil didn't say anything. They didn't end off on a big fight like they hated each other. They very much respected each other.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a brawl to the end, but I was kind of okay with it not being. I'm a little bit disappointed with the end result where on the boat. I think that was a little bit anticlimactic. But that stuff right there. That stuff right there was beautiful, and I loved it so much. I'm kind of basically just going around in circle, but yeah, that's probably my favorite part from him this entire series so far, or season.
Oh man.
Bryan, before you start,
Okay.
hey, what's going on in the chat?
All right, hold up. Let's pull that up for a second, and where was the last thing we... Okay, so Alana wants to know if we're going to talk about Claire. I'm sure we're going to jump to Claire soon, Alana. And then Alana says her favorite scene was the prison scene. I think that was the best fight, but the best scene for Frank, I have to agree with Kyle, is the graveyard scene.
Yeah, that was a cheer.
Yeah.
Just the way he was explaining why he says that quote. And his daughter, I was just like, oh my. Yet Frank is like he was the way that he portrayed that was like Frank was letting that fortress wall down.
Yeah, and I loved how subtle it was. Like he didn't overact, he didn't start to blubber. He just was silent, and he started to cry, and it was. And Frank Castle is the last person I would have expected to cry in the first place, and that's the whole reason I started to cry. I was like, damn, I didn't expect a character like the Punisher to make me cry. And that's why it was such a powerful scene. and like I already have respect for Frank as a character, but man, this really kind of like really put me on board with Mr. Bernthal. Me and Kyle joked around because we both used to watch the The Walking Dead. We were like, man, Shane died, came back, and he became, instead of becoming a zombie, he became the Punisher.
Yeah, and the best thing that I think it really shows is how powerful that speech is and how beautifully well it's written is they don't show Frank's family getting killed. It's just through his dialogue, and that perfectly encapsulates why he does what he does, and I can get behind that. Why for this version, I know in the comics it's the same. You get what I'm saying? But
and the thing is, like, there's that famous saying in film about show don't tell, but with this, when he tells you it, you have to imagine it yourself. That is way more powerful than having to see it.
I mean, listening to him talk about his daughter had chunks of meat coming out of her head. I was like, oh my God, like he's like they had to hold because meat was coming. I'm like, oh, like it made you feel like, dude, like you don't even have to like, it's like Bruce Wayne telling people his family was shot, and it's like, and we've seen that death scene like millions of times already. We don't get to see Frank's.
Yeah.
And when Frank's telling, in that version, especially in this version, him telling it just even made it more like, oh my God, really? That happened? Like,
yep. Now, Deanne wants to know what are our thoughts on Karen and Punisher's friendship slash partnership that they had in the season.
All right, we'll jump to that. Let Bryan say what he needs to say about Mr.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. That kind of leads into me because my thing is, like I alluded to earlier, this is Punisher. Like, he is the definitive Punisher now for me. And I will admit, each Punisher brought their own unique thing. I even have little respect for Dolph Lundgren's, but it's because if you look at that film, it's not a good Punisher film, but it's a pretty good action film. But anyway,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
The thing with this in Daredevil is what made him so good was that he brought in the brutal guts fighting with like the prison scene and his first initial fight with Matt, but he also brought in the vulnerability, like you said like Kyle said with the graveyard scene. But what shot it in for me, which kind of involves Karen, but stabilized it for me that he is the Punisher, was actually when he was at his most vulnerable. When he was at the hospital, and it was just one-on-one with him and Karen, and he was talking about like his family and all. And they were going through, you went to the house and started talking about like toys and stuff, and it's just like, oh God.
Yeah, that was a tough scene, man.
I like also the fact, in terms of building off of what Bryan just said, the fact that they tried to play up the fact that he's suffering from a lot of soldiers suffer through PTSD.
Yeah.
He literally blew that off as like, that's an insult. Like,
he was like,
no, that Frank would say is like, that's an insult to me, because
he's like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know the reason I'm doing it.
And of course that courtroom scene is probably my second favorite scene.
Man, yeah, because you want the Punisher? I'll give you the Punisher.
And the best part is when he's taken away, and it looks like it's It looks like it's on. It looks like the show's going just turning into the cop. Like remember Cops and like a found footage, and he's like, "You won't take me away." And he's like looking at the camera.
Started barking and like, I was like, oh god. But you know, and I too like the prison scene, Alana. You know, I thought that was the prison fight. I'm like, man, okay, you know, Frank's gonna be.
Something I caught during the prison scene, which is a really nice Easter egg. That's actually where he gets the skull emblem from. Because if you pay attention, when he's beating the shit out of the guy, the guy that's in cell block D that you know Kingpin's trying to take down, he bashes his head. He bashes his head against Frank's uniform, and there's a skull imprint on his chest.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that one. But I thought that was impressive that they got a known actor like William Forsythe to play that. I was like, as soon as I'm like, William Forsythe, what the hell is Flat Top doing here? For those who don't know, he played Flat Top in the Dick Tracy movie. So I was like, what the hell?
And that was also, and that prison scene and that whole angle is actually a reference to a famous Daredevil story, Devil in Cell Block D.
Devil in Cell Block, yeah, I know that one. Yeah, when it was Frank that got him out of jail. So
yeah,
and also that scene was kind of like almost homaging giving Punisher his own hallway scene.
Yeah, and also it also made me think of like Shawshank Redemption. I had a Shawshank Redemption vibe from that.
I mean, the one thing also is the fact that, you know, Punisher just literally, when he saw Frank and Fist together, and it was just like, you got goosebumps. It's like this is good stuff, and you know, Frank just said, I'm like, look, I'm not afraid of you. And it's like when you know, I'm coming back for you next, fat boy. It's like, yeah, you next. I'm coming for you. It's just like, I mean, the way he headbutted, I was like, yep. And then, then you got Fist doing that thing.
or as Steve jokingly says, that's Steve there. You know, Steve beating on Frank. It's like,
but that was probably a big surprise there. Like, they did not say that Wilson Fisk was going to be in this.
He was the best kept secret of this season,
that was
man.
Really good. I thought that the returning surprises were really good because not just Fist, because first of all I'm looking, he's in the cell and I'm like okay, who's in the jail cell? And then my head start, then my conscience just said, you know who's there, Chris. Come on.
I thought it was because that police officer, I guess the guards in the courtroom, like like do it our way or someone's gonna get hurt, or I forget what they said, but I thought it was the guy that killed his kids. Like maybe they got him to jail.
That's what I thought too.
And then he just stand up and it's the ball. I'm like, turns around as Vincent D'Onofrio. I'm like, oh. And
because I didn't. Sorry to interrupt. But,
and you know, it's just like that was a very good kept secret. I applaud them for that. Like they didn't say Kingpin's still in here. You just don't see him yet. He's in it, but he kept that behind the wraps.
I honestly didn't see it coming. I read Kyle's like non-spoilery review of the episode, and he said something huge was coming, and I really didn't put it together. But when
he said something heavy.
Yes, but when you saw Frank walking down that hallway in the white, and it started clicking in my head, I was like, are they?
Yeah, right.
And see the bald head, and I'm like, oh.
And then when you pay attention to how much he's fucking lifting, that's over 500 pounds, and he's like pushing it like it's nothing.
And you notice it's in season 2 that Wilson Fisk finally gets his code name.
Yep, the Kingpin.
Yeah, and and then of course, okay, I see a
I think someone said. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
somebody got a comment talking about Matt beating up Matt.
Oh man, that I gotta say something about that, but I'll
Yeah, all
wait.
right, but yeah, before I jump into that, I also want to talk about the other kind of big surprise return was Madame Gao being
Yeah.
brought,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, she's not down here. I was like, when
Yeah,
Matt was going
I
down
didn't
the
expect
steps,
her to show up too.
I was like, oh shoot, and we thought because we all know she's Crane Mother, and I'm like, okay, we all know where she's from, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so what happened? Like, and I have this theory that she didn't leave because Davos told her to stay, or maybe the portal to or back to Kulun hasn't opened back up. Remember, it
Yeah.
only
And
opened up
maybe she hasn't come because it'll open up when Danny shows up,
yeah.
and that's when she goes.
So, but the thing I was like, okay, this is really good. But going back to what the question was, I wasn't surprised that, that happened.
I
Um,
would.
not me because
I love his freak out. He's just like, don't mention her name. I
yeah,
was like,
I
oh.
wasn't surprised because I liked what Matt was doing. Like he was standing like, yeah, I'm the one that
Yeah.
did it. Like, but I
Matt,
wasn't surprised
I
that.
love Matt just brushed it off. He was like, whatever.
Yeah, I know Matt. I'm not surprised that nobody helped out. Because now Kingpin's pretty much running the prison. I'm like, yeah, I
Which is
knew that was
scary.
coming. I was like, yeah, but Matt. I mean, he can't really play off like because he punched him once and Fist is like, yeah, you're the son of a boxer, yeah, but in reality, Matt wanted just like whop whop, bam,
Yeah.
like yeah,
And I think that was just reflex because he puts his hands on him. And I think Matt was just reflex because he's just like he's only fought him as in the Daredevil persona. So I think that was just reflex. Like
Yeah, he did
he's
that
fucked
too.
up because after that punch, Wilson Fisk is like, get me a file on Matt
yeah,
Murdock.
like
I'm
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm
"Ooh."
saying. Like you saw like maybe Matt shouldn't have did what he did because now I'm looking at it from a point of like maybe Wilson is now going to start looking into him and he saw that.
Especially because they fought before. So I'm pretty sure he recognized that kind of technique
Yeah,
also.
that's what I'm saying. Is like fighting techniques are like blueprints. Like once you see them, yeah, you could kind of
Well,
okay,
they've shown us that even though he had a very, I guess you could say, poorish background, that he is a very smart man.
yeah. So
Yeah,
but that's definitely there.
and
Um,
sorry.
no, go
Uh,
go go because
I was going to say, just the fact that how you were able to get those two men in the room as Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk just worked perfectly. Like I, I didn't think we'd get that. Like in a second season when these two like Wilson doesn't know he's Daredevil. Like when they know each other, like when he knows Matt's secret identity, it's always like that. But how they were able to write that into the story, I thought really worked well, and just getting that scene and Matt's really ignorant in the comics sometimes. He's very arrogant. I said ignorant and arrogant, different things. But he's very arrogant. And sometimes he's full of himself. And I love that he was kind of arrogant there. Like he thought he was powerful. He was like, if you don't tell me what I want, I'll make sure your wife doesn't come back to the States. And he feels like he's in control, and he's just very arrogant, and that arrogance, backfires on him. And
Yep.
I was like, I was like, Matt, I love you, but and it wasn't like a bad writing. It worked. But I was like, Matt, I love you, but that's that is
Yeah,
like that you fucked up
Yeah,
there,
you
and
fucked up then. Like, you shouldn't have said
yeah,
that.
yeah. In
yeah,
the
your
end,
life's gonna get a lot worse now because Kingpin has suspicions about you now. So
also you notice that Kingpin not only hit him, but he made Matt act like a real blind man, like when
yeah,
he's stumbling. No,
Yep.
and okay. So I know Lana wanted us to talk about probably still one of the best kept secret characters or just characters in the series is Rosario Dawson's character of Claire Temple.
oh yeah,
She
Honestly, besides Jessica Jones, I feel like Claire is the best written female character in the MCU right now.
yeah, She Rosario, I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and the fact is that she is still playing this character because she has been so interconnected with three members of the future Defenders already.
Mhm.
We're starting to see that her interactions with those characters are playing not very lot of dividends to her. It's actually hurting her own career because what happened out of Jessica Jones, we see the outcome of what's going on in this season. Like she's now on night shift, and really a lot of like people are talking about her. Um, and but she still has feelings for Matt, but not in that sense of like they can be together. But she even tells Foggy, I care about him, and but it's just he's complicated.
I love the line where Foggy says, Matt made a mistake breaking up with you, and she says, who says he broke up with me? I'm like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's like
Not
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I can't. I know some people are gonna sigh, but I kind of ship Claire and Daredevil in this series. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm sorry. I really do.
Hey man, I'm
Well,
not. I don't hold any of that against you, man.
yeah,
Like,
like
well,
I don't know. I like them as a couple. They work.
it,
They're both interesting characters. I was like, I just wish. I don't know.
the
I
the
don't
thing
know.
I look at it more
man,
as like not as a couple, but I think they really close friends. I like that. Keep that for them. I
yeah,
like when Claire is another character that can just be real with Matt and tell him
man,
like it is.
and
There's a scene where he's up on the roof and she's just like, your friend is downstairs. Like, well, go see him.
go say hi.
Nobody. You know, and and he's not doing it. And just the fact is that Claire really, she really has that. She's like the Phil Coulson of this world right now. That
Mhm.
this side of the world, and she plays the role so well, and and I'm telling you, like the outcome of what her happened and with the hand and things like that, it was really, and I was just like, oh, please don't tell
Yeah.
me Claire gonna die here. But then I'm like, oh, that's right, she's in Luke Cage, so yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
so I
and,
was like,
but
but
man,
seeing her
also,
friend get killed right in front of her, I was like, oh. And then
yeah,
seeing the fact that the fucking prick suits of the hospital, like, oh, we're just gonna write this over. They never happened.
Yeah.
And I love how Claire just walked in.
crazy inmate.
You want me to keep this quiet? And like bullshit. And I quit. I was like, yes. I stood up when she walked in. I was like, yeah. And her friend is like, I need this job. I'm like, where's your sense of pride and
yeah. I'm like you fucking sellout. You
oh,
took an
like what the
oath.
hell? Like
Yeah,
I stick my neck out for you. I need this job. I'm like, it's almost to
Oh
the
my
point where I say, you fat heifer, get out of here. Like,
god. Man.
but
what the hell?
Also,
yeah.
just a quick comment on Claire though. Never have I thought a pair of scrubs look so good. Like, man,
Oh,
when
dude,
when
Rosario.
when Claire was walking out, when Claire was walking away from Foggy, I had to turn my head a little, I had to tilt my head a little bit. I was like, damn.
You tilted your head.
Claire, I gotta admit, Rosario is up there for me,
Yeah, see,
French wise,
like she
but
just she plays that role so well, and it makes you wonder,
yeah,
and the interaction with how she is with Matt, it just makes you. It made me more like, man, I can't wait to see her interact more with Luke. For
I
Oh,
want to see, man, like if I want to see her and Danny though, because I think her and Danny would be very interesting.
Danny
well,
was gonna be just like a jokester, man. That'd be funny as hell.
my
Man.
my
Go ahead.
thought on her, Claire, and all is Claire is like one of those things where it's just it's so good but so quick, and she cuts through the bull for everyone, the heroes, the normal people, the suits, and she's just a really good character. And I see her and Matt as kind of almost like exes who now get along afterwards, and I want to keep it that way. And I know you said that you ship her and Matt kind of. but it looks like they may be almost hinting at shipping her and Luke, maybe, because
I doubt
because
that.
I doubt they'll do
Yeah,
well,
especially with Jessica. Yep, I don't think that's
that.
you look at Jessica, and Jessica and Luke didn't leave on the best of terms.
Yeah, but
Well,
then it's like, then you
yeah,
gotta break her and Luke up. Then you gotta
but
break
yeah,
her and
Yeah, you
so
gotta
and
also
it's
remember
like,
the fact is that Luke was married already, and he
yeah,
got
Yeah, but I
his wife died. He
they
got with
hinted at
Jessica
it.
through kind of like a one night stand, but there was some. They did catch feelings for each other,
I
and
know.
you put them together. It wouldn't it would be really weird because it's like when Claire met him, she literally put a syringe in his eye and just saved his
I
life.
know.
It's like it's
I
more
know.
like okay, that's like a mercy. Like okay, let's date now because you saved my life. I
I
think
get
more of
you.
the point is like she's just gonna be
I
there to
get
help
you.
to be
Luke.
honest,
I totally get you.
I kind of low key saw her and Foggy for a second. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
kind
was
of did as well. I
interesting.
agree.
Yeah, until we see that
Also,
Foggy's still dating the other girl.
Which
But
is
yeah,
good. I don't like that.
I hate that bitch.
I actually kind of
Well,
like her this
I like
season.
her.
I actually really like her. She's
yeah,
funny.
actually,
She's
you
actually
know,
kind of
I
funny.
liked her
I,
both
all right.
seasons.
I didn't mind her too much. Like I was
Yeah,
cool
I
with
didn't mind her the first season, but she was. But also, I kind of want to say one thing because it's a shame we had to skip Foggy, but and also we gotta mention that Punisher stuff with the military dude at the end because I feel like we forgot that.
Oh
But
yeah.
Well, I think
there's
we're getting to villains.
something, um, there's something this season that a lot of people were worried about in the trailers. That Foggy was like I didn't mind Foggy the first season or Karen. I don't know what anyone's talking about where they were the worst.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I
Have
didn't
you
mind.
seen Arrow or
I
Flash?
like
I'm
them.
sorry. I'm sorry. But
It's okay, Kyle.
personally,
We know you don't like those shows.
yeah, you know what? Yeah, but I really loved Foggy this season, and he wasn't as annoying as the trailers depicted him. He had every right to be mad at Matt, but the one scene that's beside the court scenes, the one scene that I was like, this guy is awesome as Foggy, is when those like
The
thugs are
hospital
acting up in the
scene.
Oh, the
hospital. Yeah,
hospital
the
scene.
he's like,
Yeah.
no, you guys just stop and let them do their jobs. And I was like, thank you, Foggy. You are the man.
Yep.
And also, at the end of the series, when he gets like shorter hair, does anyone think he looks like how who's the artist in Mark Wade's run?
Chris Samney.
Thank you. Did anyone else think that he looked straight
Yeah.
off the page from that
He
artist
did.
in that
He
run?
did.
Like his
Yeah,
hair is much shorter.
I did think that, yeah. No, and also like that hospital scene is where I kind of started shipping Claire and Foggy because Claire was looking at him like, oh, all right, good for
Yeah,
you.
and they would work as much as I would have liked Claire and Matt. They kind of work because this isn't their world. Like they're not, they're normal people. It's not
Yeah,
their
they're the
world, but
normal
they
people.
make it work. They make it work though. And that's what I love about Foggy and I love about Claire. And I think the
Yeah.
thing, oh sorry.
I was just gonna say they had she also had that other really funny line with her and Foggy. She was like, "Well, that busted arm is gonna really help you out with your hip hop career."
yeah.
Yep.
Oh man.
So let me see. Okay.
Well,
The new costume outfit for Daredevil with the cowl, because Chris, me and you talked about that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh,
Yeah,
with the switch in the face.
before we do that,
Yeah.
though, real quick, we were talking about people returning.
Yeah, go ahead.
Surprise people returning. Can we talk about the fact that we had two characters return from Jessica Jones?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
oh, yeah.
I was not.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of said that
Reyes and Hogarth.
They did say Hogarth was gonna be in this. I was like, yeah, I wasn't shocked at her.
Oh,
But
I didn't even know.
I was
didn't know it was
that Reyes' character. I was like, whoa. I was like, what's she doing here? And I like how Foggy stood up to her. It was
Yep.
like, well, he's like, yeah, you trying to play us, and then somebody.
When he called the Justice Department, I was like, yeah,
I was
Foggy.
like, yo, look at Foggy, go Foggy. But I think one of the things that really kind of, when she was just using them, I was like, yeah, this and then when she got off, I was like, man, I was like,
Damn.
yeah.
Honestly, I wasn't sad at all. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sad, but it was just like you reap what you sow, and I was just like, yeah, you kind of.
Yeah, I was like, this is your own damn fault. You had it coming. You had this coming.
I was just
But having Jerry back in it, I was just like, I know she's gonna be in it because there was talks of her being in it, but seeing her there talking to Foggy and Foggy made her law firm, I'm like, yeah, all right.
I didn't know that she was gonna return, and
Yeah.
I did like Reyes, and I didn't know that she was gonna return, but I was just a little sad to see her go, but that's just because I like the actress from Law and Order.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly, when I saw Hogarth, I said, you bitch, get out of my Daredevil. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
I think it's for like tying it together like more. And what I appreciate about this season is this that they are starting to tie it more together within the Netflix stuff. And hell, even this season feels very much like it is actually more tied to the MCU instead of just being the darker corner of the the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't know. I just was like, I can't get excited about seeing Carrie Ann. I like Carrie Ann Moss. She's fine, but that character, I just don't like. I'm like, I would have liked her more if like Jessica Jones was there, or maybe Trish, or something to help. Maybe like you could be the lawyer for us, or I don't know, something. But
I mean, the point that the nods and hints that they said, we did get name drops. We didn't hear Luke's name, but we heard Claire talk about, I helped out another one of it. One guy,
stronger than him.
Like, and then you heard Jessica's name.
Yeah.
From Foggy's girlfriend. Yeah, she showed up. Yeah.
But seeing Hogarth there, I was like, and just that. And Carrie Ann Moss has this conniving look to her. I'm not saying she's hideous, but she has this look like, what's going through her head? Like
it's because when she's like thinking, right? She has this like slit in her eyes.
Yeah.
And then she got that like she has that sly smile too.
Yeah. It's like it goes a little bit like that. It's just so weird. So with that, it was once you hear her voice, it was just like, oh, she's here.
The devil's actually knocking at the door. Like,
because you can't mistake Trinity, man. You can't mistake Trinity.
It's just so funny, but let's besides the characters, and we talk about let's move on to the suit. And before we move on to suit, what's going on in the comment section, Jay?
We haven't got anything new. We haven't gotten anything new yet. We did get Vern's in the comments. Vern Hayes.
Oh, hello.
He just showed up.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
But, we have a comment that said, please tell me that if this was real life, Foggy would get stabbed 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked in a hospital before, and so I know what sometimes it can get a little rowdy, and especially with security. And there are times when is the stuff that those security guards are doing is a little bit overboard because you're not supposed to be doing if you're security. You can't grab with things like that. But maybe Foggy would have got punched or something. But or
even in that biker gang joint.
I
was expecting him to get cut.
Besides that, what really is interesting about that is that I know, like, you got dangerous threats like that. There's always supposed to be a police guarding that dead person. So I know for sure, like, that was a little bit like, whoa, there's no police guarding these guys. I don't care how they're basically criminals and thugs. Like, and so, but I still would have think, he probably would have got slit or like, I'll cut you up. But move on to the suit, and once again, the suit once again is great. I'm not gonna lie, it's been great. I've said I made this theory that some people have agreed with and some people haven't. I have this theory that Melvin's going to keep evolving the suit over time, and I said it that the suit, he'll look in his traditional fully red, no black trim, no nothing like that, fully red by Defenders. Because in the after Punisher shot him in the head, and he was having problems with his, like he was having headaches and his hearing started going away, which was kind of funny to me at times. But
It was funny and scary at the same time.
And it was also kind of an homage to Wage Run.
Yeah, but then of course, he when he came back with just the suit, there were times me and Kyle were talking about it. It's like there's scenes in the camera. I don't know what it was. It's just like the mask looked like squished across his face. So when he's like cutting the scene where he's like this, it just looked like so he can't really talk or like.
Yeah.
Well, he's fine talking. It's just his cheeks get really puffed up. And I'm not saying Charlie Cox is fat. I'm not.
Yeah,
but
it looked like it. Yeah, it looked like his cheeks were swollen. It was weird.
It looked like it was just like. And also, I felt like it was kind of hurting his head because I told Chris this, and I hate this all the time with superheroes that have secret identities. He kept taking that fucking cowl off, and in open areas, he took it off on top of the fucking building. When Stick got taken, he takes it off, and I'm like, stop taking your fucking cowl off in public outside in the city where people could take pictures of you and maybe send them to the police or something like that. Like, god damn.
Oh, and also the three of us talked about this last night. But so I want to ask you, Bryan, and everyone in the comments. So we think our theory for Melvin is we think that they're gonna actually just keep Melvin the way he is. And just as Daredevil's kind of Q, his ally. I know there are a lot of people with theories going around that Melvin's going to eventually become Gladiator, but I don't think he's gonna become a villain.
Yeah,
in this version.
In the comics, he's Gladiator, but we feel that he's just going to be the source of Matt's his Q basically. Yeah.
My feeling is for Melvin is that he's going to be his Q, but there might be a day somewhere down the line, maybe season 3 or season 4, where he becomes Gladiator, but he becomes good guy Gladiator.
Yeah, we said that too. Like he's going to gear up to help Matt.
Yeah, and to help talk. Didn't mean to interrupt, but to talk about that. To enforce that and to enforce your theory about how we're going to get full red for Defenders is the fact that we found out this season that Melvin actually believes in what Daredevil is doing. He even built him the Billy Club with no.
We all freaked out.
Jump into that too, like.
I was just gonna say that we can talk about that later, but I just want to talk about the fact that he did it without any hints, anything from Matt. He just built it for him because he wanted to help him, so I can see him wanting to improve the suit even more. And also, before I get off Melvin, I don't know who else was in there, but in the chat, I know at least Jay was in there. I so called it that by the end, Melvin would build a suit for Elektra.
I didn't.
Yep.
I didn't know.
I did. I told Jay. Honestly, in my mind, I thought that his suit was going to more resemble the comics, but still, I like her suit at the end where it's still her one that she started off with the whole thing and all, but it was more red.
Yeah. I mean, and also there's like those jokes at Stiltman that are always in the background there.
Yeah.
That he made the costume better, and it's more. You can see it's more red now, and I like that.
Yeah,
the eyes are red and things like that. I like that. But yeah, when he said, "I got a present for you," he pulled out this thing, and I'm like,
"Oh my god!"
Me, that's what I think it is, and he's like, "Yeah, Billy Club." I was like,
Yeah, the Billy Club.
Like,
We all freaked out about that. Like
it's a prototype.
Even I did it. I'm not a big fan.
And he's like, and he's like, it's a prototype. And I love Electro, like, where's mine? And he's like, it's a prototype. And the way he was using it, and he swung by it one time. I was like, oh, he's so great.
Yeah, and I love when Melvin was like, yeah, you can adjust the length, and when he like extended it, and he started going. I was like, oh shit.
So also, it was great. But yeah, so definitely the Billy Club, seeing that come to fruition was great. I love that. The costume looked great once again, and especially when Melvin gave him the new look where it was more red. I like that.
And so also, quick shout out to Steve. Steve always talks about how he wonders how the hell Matt gets his Billy Club back.
Yeah.
Every time he throws it out there. So.
I mean, the funniest thing that I even forgot to talk about it, but I guess we'll talk about favorite scenes. But the fact that like when he used the Billy Club at the end with Noble, it still makes me laugh because he threw him around the room. It's so funny. Like he just got so sick of it. He's like, I'm gonna throw you.
And Nobu thought Nobu was like, I'll come get you again, Daredevil. And Stick was like, bitch, please, and cut off his head.
That was that part. He's like, and stay dead this time.
And stay down. Oh my god.
Let's see what else. Let's see. Clerical. There was one other thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, with Clancy Brown. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Why is it that the Kurgan, or Lex Luthor, or Mr. Krabs,
every time he plays a military.
Like
every time he plays someone in the military.
And I did not.
Every time he plays someone in the military, you know he's the bad guy.
Interrupting each other. It's like Steve and Tony.
The thing about it was, it's like, I didn't want to believe it. I'm just like, but a part of me was like, watch this fool be the bad guy. And he turned out to be it. And I love how, Frank just took him in that woodshed or in that places, and you got Karen out there. You do this, Frank? I'm done. No, you're dead to me. I'm already dead. Wow. I was like, oh. He didn't even, I like that Frank didn't hesitate. He just went pop, and then
at all.
He just opened up that candy shop, and you just look at Frank's face like, this is my.
Too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And something I didn't notice that was also a hint at him being the blacksmith. If you look at his hook, his hand is black. Like his nub where his his hook is, it's black. So that was kind of a hint at him being the blacksmith.
Did that work for anyone, the blacksmith thing? I don't curious. I'm curious to the people in the comments section. And you guys, did that work, or would you have just been fine with it being a gang? And
I feel like the conspiracy thing was dragged out too much.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was about to say that. I felt like the conspiracy thing was dragged out. I felt that there needed to be a definitive reason for why, because in a sense, if you just go on by the comic standpoint of like this was an actum ran of coincidence,
Yeah.
Frank was and his family were there, and they had but for a TV standpoint, they used a little bit more logic and were like, okay, there's got to be a reason why this happened to him. So they went more with that reason. And once Karen saw the guy that she saw at the docks, and she started putting two together, and I'm just like, oh. And
It was
and then that's where I thought Karen was gonna die. I was like, yeah, Karen's gonna die here, ain't she?
I knew she wasn't gonna die.
And that scene with Karen in Clancy Brown's house is like so stereotypical 80s action movie. Because you notice in 80s action movies when there's like militaries involved, and there's a military bad guy, the military bad guy always has like an incriminating photo in his house, and that's when the hero figures out
And it's always
the bad
dark.
guy.
It is always like dark and gloomy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always dark and gloomy.
And just another negative thing. This isn't about like Daredevil specifically. It's about like multiple things like action movies and like crime dramas and stuff. Why do they keep doing that? I'll never publish the story, or I won't tell anyone that you kidnapped me. I won't say anything.
Bullshit.
Doing that? Because you know that they won't. So why do they keep doing that? But
I don't know.
But honestly, I like Clancy Brown, and I kind of like the twist of him being the blacksmith, but I just wish they would have done it a little bit better.
I just don't like the twist of the blacksmith period, because I just would have liked it to have been a random event. I don't understand what's so not logical about or realistic of it being random, because the thing that Punisher argues, and I'm not saying Punisher's argument isn't right when, or is completely out off the table when you realize that someone else was behind it, but Punisher and Matt have this very much thing throughout most of the big first four episodes, where it's, and even they say in the trailers, it's like you hit him and they get back up, I hit him and they stay down. I think you're a half measure. I think you're a coward. You won't kill. And it's basically like Punisher's like Batman in an instant, like in a way where he, and it's late, and I keep saying just wrong words, but he's like Batman, where Batman, fights crime and is a superhero because he doesn't want what happened to him to happen to anyone else. And that's what Punisher does, because he doesn't want what happened to him and his family to happen to anyone else. And it's like, it's your fault, Daredevil, because you're a half measure. You won't go the complete, you won't kill. I will, though. But I don't know, just adding it was the military, his former buddies. I don't know.
To kind of add on to what you're saying, Kyle, to back that up a little bit more. If you also think about what Frank said, this not making it a random coincidence also takes away from that thing that Frank said before. You're just one bad day away from being me.
Yeah.
Because it's not random. If it's not just one bad day. Somebody actually planned that out.
I could be wrong. I thought it was just a coincidence that he was there.
No, the CEO planned for because his CEO knows that Frank hangs out. Frank, when they got home, Frank's he planned that he was going to go into the park. So the CEO made sure that deal was going to go down there, and the crossfire would happen.
Oh, I must have missed that part.
Moving on to. We talked about that. All right, we move on to, I guess, our favorite scenes. One of my favorite scenes, I'll just start it off, was probably the last fight in the third episode, the updated version of that hallway fight scene.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Frank is coming down. Matt is coming down the stairs and battling the biker gang. Once again,
the stairwell fight.
Applaud the fight choreography in this, because once again, you got Matt coming down. He's not on an even horizontal way, and he's fighting. He's coming down, and guys are coming up. So he's got to fight. And he's taking Punisher downstairs.
I love that Ghost Rider shit he was doing too.
Yeah, he's got to take. Remember, he still has his hand taped up with the
man.
And and then he had that chain. Yeah, he was using like Ghost Rider a little bit. And I was like, every time he kept knocking guys down, I was like, go Matt. And then I love to see where when he grabbed that guy and he put the guy in the head. He's like, yeah, back up. And then
Oh man, I love when he smiled when he pulled the trigger and he went like that reminded me of Frank Miller Daredevil and it was so good and then he kicks their ass.
I love when
The old man was funny as hell. He's like, get back to your apartment. He's like, what about you? He's like, I'm good.
I'm good.
And
I love and then of course when that big guy came out, I was like, oh man. And I was like, but then I just love Matt did his traditional flip and whop on the head. I was like, yeah, he nailed it again.
yeah, and it was more subtle, but I also like how right as it was beginning, you saw him running with Punisher on his, and then you see that moment where he puts Punisher on the thing, and he realizes that
he put him on a freight elevator.
Yeah, he puts him on the elevator, and then he realizes the elevator's going too slow. And you can almost see him go, guess I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And then,
that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the season. That Jay, what was one of your favorite scenes of the season? And
I'm gonna have to go.
And everybody just goes out in the comment section. That goes out to you guys too. So keep going.
I'm gonna have to go with another Frank and Daredevil one. Was when they're fighting through the Kitchen Iris's base, and they're just like going in. And Frank just got a drill through his foot, and he's still fucking walking it off. And I love when they're fighting, and Daredevil always Matt's knocking the gun out of Frank's hand. He's like, "Well, I tell you, no killing." He goes, and he just looks over at Matt. He goes, "Fucking Boy Scout."
Yeah.
Yes. I go next, right?
Yep. Go ahead,
Despite I love the episode. I think it's Dogs to Hell, the one where Chris said that fight scene was amazing. They improved on that hallway scene immensely. That's an amazing fight scene, and I love the Frank scene at the graveyard. But I think the scene and it's weird. I'm not a big Punisher fan as the guy in the comics, but the scene that was that's the best scene ever for this season is when you see him in costume standing on that rooftop, got the skull, got the jacket, and he's like, "I'll see you later, Red." And he goes and he off, and then I was like, "Yep, that despite my issues with the ending of that plot, he still comes out an awesome character, and I hope it's a solo series
Oh yeah. By the way, Kyle. DNGN agrees with you. He says, Kyle gets it. See, the whole thing is, if Frank's family's murder was calculated and planned by the CO, then technically that means after he kills the CO, he has no real reason to keep continuing. If it was a random coincidence, then Frank always has a reason to keep going. But once he kills the CO, if it was really the CO's fault, his family's avenged, and he has no reason to keep going with his crusade.
Definitely. I definitely agree with Kyle. That was a good scene. I knew Frank was coming to help. I knew he was. It was just I was like, weird. I thought he was coming with the minigun, instead he was just sniping cats and I guess he knew that Matt was gonna hear it, so that's why he's you're around, Red, and Matt. You just saw Matt just he looked good in the suit, the jacket and stuff. It was great.
I was telling Jay that in that last fight scene, I was almost expecting him to be fighting him and Elektra fighting the hand, and then all of a sudden on the rooftop is Frank, and he's like, "Need a little help, Red?" Boom, and he does his more brutal militaristic fighting alongside their elegant fighting.
What's going on in the comment section, Jay, for people's favorite fight scenes?
So DN says his favorite scene is the one that that replicates that Punisher story, The Choice, where Matt is in episode 3 where Matt's tied up and he has the gun taped to his hand. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Vern says his favorite scene was when Wilson Fisk confronts Matt and tells him he's coming for him. and he's gonna finish what he started.
That gave me goosebumps. I was like, "Uh-oh, it's going down, Matt. Your life's going to become absolute shit."
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of great in this. It's just I wish I had been able to rewatch this. I mean, even with the amount of time we had, I just didn't have any time. But I wish I had another rewatch of this because I bet there's a lot more favorite scenes that I missed or even we did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they hint at Born Again a lot.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even
sorry.
I was just gonna say two quick things. Even the vote, I didn't know this until I watched a YouTuber named Mr. Sunday. But even the vote that Frank blows up on, its its number is the issue number.
Issue 168, the beginning of Frank Miller's Born Again storyline. Yep.
Yeah, but
Wait,
also I was what?
No, I was talking to Jay because he's monitoring the comment section.
Alana says her favorite scene is when Electro brings Matt to the Fixer's house.
Yeah.
And she's,
Yeah.
I joked about it, right? Her face when she's getting all turned on by fucking Matt beating the shit out of the Fixer. She's just like, yeah, Matthew, do it, hit him again. I'm like, oh my god, she's like really getting off right now.
Getting off at it.
I was going to say one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we basically mentioned most of my favorite scenes, like rooftops, fights, stuff like that. But one scene that I want to point out that's one of my favorite, that's more subtle, and involves two characters that we really haven't talked about. Well, one honestly we hadn't talked about at all. Is it involves Karen and Ben Urich's boss. And where in the scene in particular that I'm talking about is when she goes to investigate that house and he puts a police detail on her. And she says, "What are you talking about?" And talking about it's chauvinistic and you would never do that for Ben. And he's like, "Yeah, and I regret that every day."
And he would have still been alive. Yeah. That was a good scene.
That's a good one. That is a good one. I think
Yeah.
one of the other things that we also get to see was when at the end, the fact we get the hint of like microchip. Frank pulls the
with the disc. Yeah.
I was like micro. I was like, okay, we got a hint of that. But
and we already know he exists because Sky worked with him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So we do know microchip exists. So, but still, once again, I've said it before. The whole concept of Frank's story in this season, it's still. I thought it was just gonna be like, okay, we're gonna get Frank, but it's gonna be. This still could have been almost like a one-off season of its own. Like that's how good of a job like that they did with Punisher, for a series. I mean. And it can be built up, but with the coming of what's next to come, because I know this is something that Lana wanted to ask us about, is what do we see in the future? I still see the war between the chassis and the hand still going because we saw Elektra's body get taken by the hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, if they do that stupid storyline that with Elektra is broken up into two parts of
they better not do that shit where she's white Elektra and then she's got the black.
Because I'm talking to Lana personally because she's the one that asked it. Lana, I'm hoping we finally get to see Stone fully in not just the back of him. We see the real guy. We get to see Stone. We get to see Shaft. We get to see.
I want to see Wing, or even Flame.
All the members of the chase besides Stick. In terms of villain wise,
Mr. Fear.
You got to bring Bullseye in somewhere.
Yeah,
and personally, Alana, I think Bullseye should be the one that kills Karen. And that would set off something because Karen's death is inevitable. She's got to die somewhere too because even if they don't do it
Bullseye does kill Karen and Guardian Devil, right?
That's right.
Wasn't that? Yeah.
So we could see Bullseye killing, and Bullseye could be a hired gun for Kingpin after he learns.
Matt's.
Okay, now, all right. So I'm gonna start hitting him where. Remember, Kingpin said, "I'm coming after all of you." Remember,
Exactly.
he didn't say Matt.
Oh,
He said,
yeah.
"I'm coming after all of you."
Yeah,
Um,
and Mr. Nelson.
yeah,
And also, let's not forget, Karen killed Fifth Boy too.
yeah,
Wesley.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So,
And also, what if they do this? I don't know if you guys might like this, but this might be I'm just gonna say this, but what if they do both Bullseye and Lady Bullseye as maybe a crazy couple, and say like Lady Bullseye goes after Foggy, and maybe near the end of the series, Matt and her get into a big fight while she's trying to kill Foggy, and he takes her down, but he's really tired and really weak and bleeding out, and he's like, wait. There's Bullseye, and he's going after everyone. And he's like Karen, and then maybe he gets a call. Karen, he's got to go to Karen, and because in Guardian Devil, Matt gets his ass beat by Bullseye, and he can't do anything when he grabs Daredevil's Billy Club. He throws it into her chest. So what if you do that, where that's basically like, okay, he's beaten down, and he's tired,
If she gets killed with his Billy Club,
yeah.
oh God.
Would you be okay with Lady Bullseye, as well, like a crazy couple?
I would be cool with that.
That's interesting because Alana. Remember when Alana put that up? She's like possible people she would like to see in season 3. She had Lady Bullseye there.
Okay.
I think you can switch her origin a little bit for a series because remember
because she was just a Bullseye fangirl.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was something like that. But she worked in a brothel. She was in a brothel, and Bullseye had came in that brothel, and she saw him, and kind of like what Jay said, like a fangirl, she took that name, and she's the one that also killed, supposedly killed, White Tiger, and they brought her back, White Tiger back through the hand and things like that. But other than them two, Alana,
Mr.
I
Fear.
think another good villain for a season.
Mr. Fear is good, yeah. I could see that.
Mr. Fear would be good if they can do Mr. Fear the way Brubaker brought him back.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah,
that would work because Mr. Fear when he first came was a joke. He was a
man. Mr. Fear fucked with Mila Donovan.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So definitely I would want to see them, but I definitely see that they're gonna go a lot of Born Again stuff. I wouldn't be shocked to see them bring in. Let me see who else I can see.
Hey, I got a thought.
Okay.
What if they do because the thing with this is they're doing older stuff with Daredevil, but I've noticed they're adding little hints of Wade stuff. So what if in season 3 we got to see Spot?
Who?
Oh, yeah.
The Spot? Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, okay, if we're going more of his superpowered, okay, what would be
a really creepy villain, like a Killgrave, just but able to tell.
He was like a voyeur. He was always just watching.
You know what would really geek me out if I would mark the fuck out if they did it is that they introduced Mysterio in Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
Because Mysterio has played with Daredevil too a lot, and oh my God, that'd be crazy. But
you know what? Something I forgot to mention actually was there's somebody that they could bring in for season 3 because they kind of introduced her, and I think that is her, Typhoid Mary.
Yeah. Typhoid Mary, yeah, we talked about that, the girl.
The girl with the red hair that was on the bus? Yep, yeah. I think that's Typhoid Mary. She got those crazy eyes, man. I'm thinking that's
the only
Typhoid
thing
Mary.
we need her to do is use pyrokinesis, if but.
And they could easily just explain it as, she's an Inhuman or whatever.
She's an Inhuman, instead of a mutant. So yeah, Typhoid Mary would. Oh man, that'd be creepy. And of course, your girl Alana. I would love to see Echo be brought in. I would love to see Maya Lopez brought in. You know, just
I
to
wouldn't mind her spinning off into,
DNGN says he wants to see the owl actually brought in, like
the
a
owl
legit
was
version
brought
of
in.
the owl.
Remember, he's the
No,
one that.
no, yeah, no, but like a legit version of the owl, like
Yeah,
Bring in
you
his
know,
son.
Well,
yeah,
he
the son
does have a
maybe.
son, so yeah, we can bring that in.
yep.
Also with Echo, we could totally spin her off like into Moon Knight because Moon Knight and her
Moon
had a
Knight,
thing in Bendis.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, Echo
I feel like
and
everyone
Moon
should
Knight.
no,
people are
it
forgetting.
could start off as being she's in New York, but then she maybe after the season she goes to L.A.
She goes to
and
LA, yeah.
And don't kill her off like Bendis did. I love Bendis' Moon Knight, but don't kill her off.
Oh,
She did
yeah.
awesome.
bad shit.
Oh, I know he's not Daredevil villain, but I just thought someone that might be cool for Matt and like his blindness and all is what if they brought in Ghost?
the
Oh, that
Ghost.
could be interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, he's more of an Iron Man, but yeah, I could see him kind of working like.
And
Once
you know,
again,
Chris talked about Mysterio. What about Hammerhead, or even we heard about in Agent Carter, we actually heard the name Manfredi dropped. So what
Yeah.
if we get what if we get Silvio?
yeah.
You know, the thing is like
Yeah, that could be.
you also got to look at it from a point of view of like because of Fisk, you know, he could bring out all these hired guns, you know, to start messing with Matt now. And you got to think about it. I mean, there are a couple other guys I could think of that could get exposed, but you know,
I know you said that you would want him for Hawkeye, but what about Taskmaster?
wow, okay, that's a good one right there too.
That
They brought-
would, damn.
That would be really interesting.
or what if they do what's the guy that Wade brought him in
The guy that blinded himself, but no, wait, no, he didn't blind himself. He was basically like Daredevil. He had radar sense, and
Yeah,
but he could see.
Talking about like his name is Kirari. Yeah.
him. Like I can see them bringing in a couple of Wade's villains that we saw Wade right. I'm not sure about the Bruiser, the guy who like can.
I didn't like him. Yeah,
I didn't like him too much, but the Karari guy.
I do like that because like he basically is kind of anti Daredevil, where he like replicated the accident, exact same chemicals, and
and then the other of course Alana, the other person is we are introduced that we have Master Ezo. I would love to see Master Ezo, the founder of the Chase, come in. And,
yeah,
you
because
know,
I mean we heard the story obviously, so we know he's there.
Yeah, and teach Matt some more skill, like because one thing one thing that bothered me about this season is that it seems that Matt wasn't using all of his abilities in this.
Oh
like,
yeah.
He was just using super hearing.
He uses hearing a lot, but his radar sense wasn't being used a lot, and you know his sense of smell and everything like that. I was just like, that's kind of weird. Like he's just using his hearing because every time I hear them coming up the stairs, there's like, you heard that? And he's like, yeah, I hear it. But that was kind of my biggest thing. Is like, why is he not using his radar like a lot? But
they did kind of imply about his touch, like enhanced touch, like especially with like the sex scene.
Oh yeah, and
that was just weird. That sex scene was weird. I'm not gonna lie.
When he was tracking the blood though, he used his sense of smell. So there is that.
That first of all, okay, let me touch on that. When those kids, especially in the hospital scene, when they look like something out of fucking zombie.
No, that reminded me of that Wade story with Purple Man's kids.
I was about to say that. God damn it,
They reminded me. I was like, those like Purple Man's kids, like they were just standing there, like. I'm like, oh my.
That was that weird Children of the Corn crap, like.
These kids is crazy.
When I saw that in the trailer, I'm like, and even in the show, I was like, I'm not fucking with that. And I was like, I saw that, I'd run like fucking hell. Like, I don't care.
You pulled the Dashi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we saw that the kid killed his own father,
That was
Oh yeah.
messed up,
Also,
man.
I'm not even gonna lie. I know this is gonna be like everyone's gonna sigh and roll their eyes like, God damn it, Kyle. When he said his name was Danny, I was like,
Yeah,
that's not Danny
I'm
Rand.
I'm not gonna lie, Kyle. For a second, I thought that too. I was like, wait, huh?
Yeah.
I was
No,
like, are we really gonna do that?
but other than that, we definitely had a good time with this season, and we hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully, we kind of know it's probably going to get another season.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Just,
it's kind of.
It's
we
wild.
Oh
just
yeah,
try
but
to,
before we go, you wanna quickly talk about the teaser at the
yeah,
end?
that's definitely because
Oh, yeah.
Alana asked that too. I think. Um, okay, wait. Vernon said the Enforcers. I
Ooh,
wouldn't
wow.
mind seeing the Enforcers.
That would be cool.
And
Oh,
Fancy Dan,
Fancy
Ox,
Fancy
and all.
Dan,
oh,
Montana. Yeah, I could take that.
That's a great one, yeah.
I just thought of something. I just thought of something. Since
So,
it's clear we're not going to get to see them in a Thor movie, what if Daredevil had to face off against the Wrecking Crew?
Yes. Yeah, I would take that. I
The
would
Wrecking.
take that. I would take that.
Maybe I don't know. They're a little bit out of Matt's league. They're
they'd have to change him up. They'd have to change them up a
they would
bit.
have to they would have
Well,
to help them a lot.
I kind of almost got a hint of
You're
it
talking about
when
the Wrecker. You're talking about Thunderball. Yeah, those guys got to get downgraded.
You know who would be really cool for Matt to go up against, especially because it's somebody he kind of has history with in this show.
What's up?
Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man. Because
Yes.
his dad fought Crusher Creel back in the day. I think it would be really cool if he fought Absorbing Man.
Did we say they should bring in his latest girlfriend from Wage Run?
That was me. Yeah, I wanted her around the time of when Matt's life was just completely shit. Like Karen was dead and all
I
that.
think, yeah, after they killed Karen, they should definitely bring in Kristen or Kirsten, however you pronounce her name.
I loved her so much in Wade's Run. She was like that.
She
Have
is
her be like that spark
She
of
is
hope.
the best. She's the best girlfriend Matt's ever had. Like, period.
Exactly. Like, never be that spark of hope for Matt, and he built his life back with her, and have her be the one girl that lives. And like, she's not dead in the comics yet. She's not dead in the comics, but do that. That would be amazing. And I don't know who you could get to play her. I know Mark Waid retweeted a picture once back when season 1 came out with an actress as her, but I can't remember who it was. But she looked spot on. I can't remember, but.
Okay.
my Daredevil knowledge is kind of limited, but what if they brought in like his actual ex-wife, the blind woman?
Mila Donovan?
Mila
No,
Donovan.
I don't want that to happen because then they're gonna fuck her up and they're gonna do
They'll
that.
make her go all crazy.
They're gonna
And
do all that.
Matt's got kids, so but I don't know in this universe he's got kids. But,
They're gonna do that.
Yeah.
They're gonna do that messed up crap where like Mr. Fear drives her crazy, and then they got Bullseye showing up on her bed, going shh.
Brian,
yeah.
you want to break my heart? Is that what you want to do, Brian? You want to break my heart? That's the
Like I said, my knowledge is limited. All I knew about her was that she was blind and that she was his ex-wife. That's all I knew.
She is Matt's most tragic girlfriend ever.
Well,
Like,
that's his wife, so yeah, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
she got hit by a bus like twice. She almost got hit by a bus.
Could you guys?
Like,
Could you guys imagine how they would do McDuffie? Maybe we could do the Bendis stuff where he gets like outed and it's like his life is just completely shit and he's maybe the kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. Oh my God!
man.
I kept forgetting to say this, but we were speculating about season 3.
What's up?
I told Jade that before in a personal message, but I kind of almost have this theory that in season 3, because the DA screwed Nelson and Murdoch over so much, that the new DA is actually going to offer Matt a job and he's going to work for them for a little bit.
Yeah, the black dude, Hightower, or whatever his name is supposed to be the new DA now.
Yeah, he could get Matt in and bring Matt in, but
Also,
then, but then Fisk gets out, and Nelson and Murdoch, the three of them, have to team up again.
And totally off topic of villains, I guess. Before maybe we talk about Luke Cage, did anyone else feel like the guy that was I can never get his name, the guy that was the African American police officer that Foggy and first kept giving the cigars to and became a
Yeah.
detective this season? Did anyone else feel like he's going to be like? Because they gave him a bigger role this season, which I was happy about. Because I like that actor.
Mahoney's
Yeah.
gonna be like the Jim
Oh,
Gordon.
Yeah,
Mahoney's-
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that though. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I thought that was cool that Mahoney went from being, uniform to detective. I thought that was really cool.
I wonder if he's actually going to become an FBI agent eventually, because Matt's usual contact is that FBI agent dude, and then he eventually worked with Angelino. But I wonder if Mahoney goes from just being a cop to being an agent. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, well, we know because we do know that Angelina Del Toro is in his world.
And she's a PI.
Investigator. We heard Jessica, so we know White Tiger's here. We don't know if she has the Tiger amulet, and we don't know if Hector is still alive. Hector could still be alive, and he could be White Tiger. I mean, just stuff like that. You just wish that you hear. I would have loved to hear in Daredevil or somewhere where there's they just name dropped or just gave a drop man, you hear about that guy in the white suit up in the Bronx?
He looks like a tiger. He looks like a cat, maybe. Yeah,
he's just like a tiger. I was like, oh, that would be so cool.
It's just
Or now that we're having Civil War, what if they just said that Black Panther wannabe?
Oh yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about Black Panther, there was actually a run where he was in Hell's Kitchen for a while.
Yeah, the Deadliest Man Alive. That's basically when
American Panther.
That's pretty much when Matt left for a while to kind of find himself again, and he left it in charge of
T'Challa. Yeah.
T'Challa, who is kind of left Wakanda to find himself again, and he wasn't in tap to the power that he has now, so he was just going on his wits.
He ended up fighting a lot of Daredevil villains and kicking.
Ended up fighting a lot of Daredevil villains, and then of course he fought Hate Monger, and Hate Monger was spreading all this hate about immigrants taking over Hell's Kitchen, and that's where the American Panther came from. We didn't know who he really was, but when T'Challa stopped him, they thought he was still under Hate Monger's control, but he agreed with everything Hate Monger was doing.
That was a good story.
So when Matt came back, he even says wow, you did a lot for the kitchen, because he was listening, and he was like, it doesn't sound the same like it used to. So he gave T'Challa a lot of credit for it. It was really cool. And Foggy helped him a lot too. Helped him with a new identity and everything. I was like, yeah, that was good. Let me see.
So I guess the Luke Cage trailer, and I guess just
we're gonna wrap it because Alana right now said, talk about Luke. It was quick, but it made perfect sense.
Not much to talk about, but
I'm gonna need some new clothes. That was pretty funny.
It was enter a gym. Luke says, you guys probably never heard about me. They open fire, pop, 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 pop. He's just standing there. I'm getting real sick of having to buy new clothes. Cuts away, and you hear the Nas. Oh my God! I was like, please tell me Nas is gonna be the soundtrack.
They played freaking NY State of Mind, the most.
I was like, oh, that is so cool.
They played pretty much the anthem of New York, NY State of Mind.
And I love that. It's just like it
made me think. I'm like, is he gonna be in Queensbridge?
Yeah, they did say he's not just gonna be in Harlem. He's gonna be all over. So if he goes to Queens, I'm gonna be loving that. And So, but
Man,
the fact
man,
is,
imagine if he goes to Queens and you pass by like a mailbox in Forest Hills and you should just
and
see
it says
Parker.
Parker. Yeah,
That'd,
that'd be
that'd
so
be
cool.
amazing. That'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing. Like, all I know is like the fact is
Sorry.
what he said, what Mike Coulter said there, just instantly made me think. You know what? Luke would say some stuff like that, like,
Yeah.
"Always got to buy new clothes because his clothes are not bulletproof."
Yeah.
He's bulletproof, but is that I love that, and seeing like images of what's going to be going on. A lot of, from what I've heard and what I've seen, the images is like a lot of nods to currently what's going on in society now, especially with Luke. You're going to see Luke in a hoodie at times, and he's being held up by the cops. I'm like, ooh, tell me they're not going where I think they're going with that.
Yep.
They
The one thing I'll say this, Alana, that I'm hoping really gets going is Misty Knight. We see her
Yep.
lose
Oh yeah.
that series, and
No,
if we see her lose,
the thing
I don't care if you just get a representative of Stark Industries come in and says, "Mr. Stark heard about your bravery, and he wants to offer you this." And you see the bionic arm, I'm like, oh shit! Like, yeah.
Nah, man. The thing I'm the most hyped for with Luke. 3 words: Lonnie Lincoln Jr.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
am so ready for fucking Tombstone.
They really are
Oh
bringing
my god.
so in. Yes.
Well,
You know,
well. To be fair, the thing that makes Jay think that is because in casting there's a little kid and his name is Lonnie.
Yep. So his dad probably was in the pen with Luke at the time of things going on, and
that's another thing I'm also looking forward to, and seeing them play up the origin of how he got his powers. You know, I really want to see them play that out. You know, the way that we saw with Jessica and Danny, and we know that it's gonna be in flashback, which I like that style of what they're doing with the Netflix series. Like, you're seeing that stuff in flashback, and it doesn't really interrupt the flow of the story.
yeah,
And
it helps to service the story.
yeah.
The
So
only one that I think didn't this season, I was like, why is that here? Was when Matt, like you look at a young boy Matt. Well, you don't even see a young version of Matt, but it's like it looked like they're in a church, and like you got a nun like cleaning him off, and I'm like cleaning off the blood.
That's his mom though.
I know that's his mom, but what does that do? That doesn't do anything. I was like,
I mean, I guess it was a nod to it was another nod to Born Again because that happened in Born Again and also happened in Guardian Devil. So
that's fair, but I mean, why don't you just do that the season when you're going to do Born Again? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was just another. I honestly thought that was foreshadowing that Karen was gonna die because I was like, Karen doesn't meet Matt's mother until she dies. So
the one thing also,
that could be interesting.
one thing also that interests me because because somebody asked me like what villains are they using for Luke. I think it was Victor that was asking that question. They're going a lot old school with his villains. Like they're going Cottonmouth. Yeah, I know Luke. I know he's got some really weird name. But they're going Cottonmouth. They're going Black Maria. Ooh, that's who Alfred Woodard is playing. But they're not making her the big woman that she was in the comics. I swear if they'd have bring in Cockroach. Yeah, I know Kyle gonna laugh at that one.
I forgot his name, but they got an awesome guy to play Cottonmouth.
Yeah, and they got what's his name? I know the actor too. He's been in a lot of stuff. They got Shades. He's gonna be in it. But we still haven't seen if Willis Stryker is gonna be in it. That's who I'm wanting to see. Like
they need. I mean, I feel like Diamondback's gonna be like the kingpin of Luke's season. If it's not gonna be Tombstone, it has to be Diamondback.
I imagine we'll probably, around the time when we start advertising the show, I mean, that teaser, yes, was advertised, but when we start getting, like, posters for his show and, like, trailers, I imagine we'll start getting confirmation of who's going to be playing that character. So,
but I'm definitely also...
Sometime in August, probably.
Yeah, the fact is now that we know when it's coming out, Alana, which makes it even better. We know it's coming out in September, so we got a couple of months for it to come. But
When is Defenders actually coming out? By the way, like
I
I
think
know.
2018 or 2017. I think.
17 or one of them because that's kind of where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah, because I know with all these second seasons being ordered that they pushed a lot of stuff back. So I was wondering if like what the order.
Well, I can't remember if they said when Jessica Jones season 2 was gonna be.
No, they haven't. No.
They haven't.
They haven't said anything yet.
Before it was even confirmed, the creator, the showrunner herself, said that if they were to get a season 2, it would have to be placed after Defenders.
Yeah, and the fact that the Defenders is not going to be as long as the other shows. From what I saw, it's only going to be like 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's going to be a mini series. Yeah, which is fine.
That's fine, but
that's 8 hours there, so that's totally fine.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't really need to stretch out that type of story, also, because I mean, we know all these characters already, so it's not like we need 13 episodes for it.
Like we said, Alana, the teaser was great. Nothing really to get, nothing to like really go into too much detail, just speculation.
Awesome logo.
I mean, other than the fact that, like we've said before, Mike Coulter is a good-looking man. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even ashamed of saying it. That's a pretty looking dude.
That's just an observation. Like,
that's an observation. I can understand why Rachel, Hellcat was like, man, he's cute, and so I'm like, but yeah.
And Chris, can I close this out?
This straight heterosexual guy saying it, but yeah, he's a pretty good looking dude. I'm not even gonna lie, he's a good looking cat. Like, the fact is, I'm looking forward to seeing Luke come to the table. I just want to see at one point in his season where he's in a yellow shirt and black pants or something like that, just a traditional look.
I want at least the season to end with Jessica being like, "So Luke, I'm pregnant and I'm keeping it," and he just goes, he just face palms. He goes, "Sweet Christmas."
And also, I tell you that this is kind of a personal thing. Sorry, Kyle.
It's fine. Go ahead.
But just like we had Jake in Jessica Jones, we kind of had that nod to the Jewel costume.
Oh, you want to see the tiara and stuff like that?
I just want to see like a nod to that,
maybe when Luke was a kid in the 70s, like he looks like he's old enough to have been to been a kid in the 70s. So
or just like see it or something and be like, hell no.
Oh yeah, like maybe he had to go undercover or something. I could see something like that.
I kind of want to see the chain belt.
The chain belt.
And Danny will be in the last episode of Luke Cage also, so we know that for sure.
Yeah, Danny's gonna be there, so maybe at one point he actually has the 4-ring ring and it has Cage on it. But other than that, guys, this was fun as always, guys. The core enjoys this. We'll be back when all of us have seen Batman, because only 2 of us have seen it so far.
Yep.
Batman versus
and also we'll be back Sunday to do to talk about DC Rebirth. Also,
we're gonna be here, guys, to do another vid.
And just heads up, guys, there, it won't just be these 3. I will be joining them.
I don't think I'll be there because my internet sometimes, so I don't know if I'll be able to get to that one. So it might just be you 3. But is it okay, Chris, if I close this out? Not on like a.
I'm gonna close it out. And other than that, guys, if you have any more comments and questions and thoughts about Daredevil season 2, leave your comments in the comment section below as always. And that's also to the people when this goes up. But other than that, Kyle, you can close us out, and don't forget to let Jay say the last quote. Right.
Yep. All right. Well, I know we were not negative about the season, but we wouldn't be us if we weren't honest, guys. So, if you loved this season, that's totally fine. You thought it was, you thought there were minor problems that didn't ruin the season. That's totally fine. But if you understand where we're coming from, we appreciate that, and we did enjoy this. We did enjoy the season. I did. I just had problems at the end. But I am looking forward to a third season. I'm looking forward to Luke Cage. I'm looking forward to the Defender stuff. And I do appreciate everyone being here. Was really late. I mean, depending on where you are in the world, but if you're like in Eastern time, it's like 2:54, and I appreciate everyone being here. We wanted to do it earlier, but we got sidetracked, which was fine, which is always us. But we appreciate all the comments. Thank you guys for participating. You guys are amazing. So yeah, we love you guys. And that's pretty much it. And we appreciate you. So go ahead, Jake.
All right. So that's it for the core, you guys. We hope you enjoyed this Daredevil discussion. And like I always say, once comic book geek, always comic book geek. Once a Devil fan, always a Devil fan. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.